Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday and welcome to Fools Rush In. Never one to follow the trend of the bigger, more powerful beings in this world. We did not cancel at the last minute, and we are happy to appear via internet stream to take your difficult questions as we do every Monday and Friday night. It is going to be a bumper episode tonight. It is the Fools season review, where a number of panelists will be joining us a little later to have their say. We've got our end of season alternative awards. And to kick things off, we have a special guest making her debut on the show. As always, the live chat is open on YouTube and on Facebook, where your comments may appear on the screen. And tweets are also being read as well. So send those in if that is your chosen platform to watch us on. Thank you for joining us. We hope to entertain for the next couple of hours. Before we say hello to tonight's panel, let's roll the titles.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love with you.
Before we welcome our special guest on for the evening, two men who, at least I hope, will be here for the duration of the episode. One has told us if it goes beyond regulation time, he will be switching off. So let's get him on nice and early. Evening, Rich.
Yeah, dropped in that one, don't I?
How are you, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, all good, mate. How are you?
Very, very well, thank you. Refreshed after a week off from Fools?
Yeah, was it a full week off? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were on last Monday, and then we didn't have any panelists other than me and Ben on Friday.
I'd had a few drinks on that Monday, so it was good. And then Friday, yeah, it was a nice chill one, to be fair. No, it was good. I'm back to it. Yeah, let's get going.
Buzzing for reviewing the season and some awards tonight. And after the debacle of last season, you're determined to win at least one this year, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was robbed a little bit last year, so I'm looking to hopefully rekindle and get maybe an award or two this year. So to be fair, I had a better chance last year because there was about 49 awards last year. I think this year
we've trimmed it down to just 22.
22. So my chances are slimming even more now. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I might. Well, one would like to think I'd get a comedy award, but it's very unlikely, I think.
Well, if nothing else, mate, then you'll probably win best dressed. I got a message to say it's awards night. Let's dress smart. So I put on the party shirt for tonight. But no, look at you, stylish as ever.
Yeah, you have to do.
Evening to Rob, who has messaged in. I hope you are well, sir. And here's Mike as well. Even though I've prepared my acceptance speech for the Funniest Comments Award. Well, another man who I'm sure, well, he's already said on his own social media is up for rant of the season. Evening, Craig.
Yeah, evening, Fifey. I'd just like to say that I definitely will be here for the duration. I've got the fridge is stocked up with beers and everything. So as long as you give me enough piss breaks, I'll be fine. Also, mate, can I just say thank you for giving us the day off on Friday? That was very kind of you. It was a good job you did, because I was about to ballot the rest of the panel for industrial action if you didn't give us a day off. So I'm glad we avoided.
You love industrial action, don't you, Craig?
Oh, I do, mate. I do love everybody out, power to the people and all that. So, yeah.
Seeing a few more messages. Good evening to everyone watching. Hope you are all well. You were saying you're well stocked. For only the second time this season, I've come prepped with 2 bottles of water, thinking this could, needed to stay hydrated. But enough shenanigans for now. There's plenty of time for that. We have serious stuff to discuss, guys. And before we look back at what has happened, let's look forward to the future. And to do that, Saturday was the perfect example. What started with the youth team going to Oxford and winning. The day ended with the Swindon women's under-18s side also going to Oxfordshire and coming back with the trophy. And we are delighted to welcome the team manager, Chiarna, for her Fool's debut to tell us all about the day. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
How are you?
Actually, we didn't get a cup. We didn't get.
Well, no, I've been told this. Yes.
No, I was fuming.
I had to message Woody. I said that cannot be the trophy because I saw Grace lifting the trophy.
So we got sent this picture before any other picture was published.
Yeah,
of Grace.
We got sent, and I thought that could not be the trophy.
I think at that exact point that picture was taken, I went over to the league secretary and I said, "Excuse me, sorry, where is the big trophy?" And she went, "Oh, the team that won it last year didn't bring it back." And I said,
absolutely.
Really?
Sure.
I was like, "What do you mean?" And then she said, "Yeah, they didn't bring it back, and neither they didn't bring the league trophy back either." I said, "Oh, good job we didn't win that one then."
Wow.
And then she said, "Oh, but we'll send it to you in the post." I was like, "Oh, fantastic!
Send the trophy in the post."
Thank you." Yeah, I have lots of issues with how that Oxford.
Wow.
Surely there's got to be a fine for that if you don't return the trophy in a certain amount of time before the trophy.
So we had obviously the 16s last year won the league and the cup, and I had to get the trophies back before the 30th of April, or the club would have had to pay a fine or buy a new trophy because someone had the cup trophy. I didn't know who had it. It was actually the captain from last year. So I found it literally the day before it was due to be in. But I was like, fine people then, like give them fines. It doesn't make any sense. And then I think another game didn't have the trophy either. And I was just like, how have you not got these trophies back? And then, best part, they give Grace a trophy that said under 11s on it.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
They said,
You could not make that crap up, could you?
Yeah. And then they said, oh, you can always go to a trophy shop near you and get a new sticker put on it. I was like, sorry? Yeah.
Oh, that's the Oxfordshire League.
I was going to say that's the Oxfordshire FA for you, isn't it?
The shambles they made that the start of that cup final day was ridiculous. Like originally we were supposed to kick off at 4:15, then it changed to 4:00, and then it changed to 4:30. Then it changed to as soon as we can get on the pitch. And I went, what time are you allowed on the pitch? They went, 4:15. I went, and you want us to kick off at 4:30? Zero chance.
This is literally like grassroots under 10s, under 11s. So I can understand why they tried to give you the under 11s trophy there. It's almost as if we have to wait until the other guys get off the pitch first, until you guys can come on and play your little match, like sort of thing. I was like, this is a bloody cup final. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
We're already getting plenty of comments in saying we want our trophy, etc. Michelle, Evening, Michelle. She's put Grace's is being changed as we speak, but no sticker. She's had a plaque put on it.
Oh, can I have a plaque? I don't get a trophy, and I was the one that helped win it. It doesn't make sense.
Can I just go back to your story for the 16s though, and say I love the fact that you didn't even know where the trophy was, and you had to go looking for it.
Oh, technically, we can blame Adam for that because Adam had the league trophy and brought it back to me and Ellie. So me and Ellie started doing like a photo shoot with the trophy in the middle of training when Adam brought it to us, and went, "Oh my god, I've seen it after a year." So that was quite funny. And then I was like, "Wait, where's the other one?" And then I had to narrow down who had it, and I was like, oh god, I'm gonna have to pay a fine here. Yes, Michelle, I do deserve a trophy. Thank you very much.
Well, we've got someone else just appeared in the lobby that has been name dropped into the story, so let's see if he takes responsibility for the missing trophy. Evening, Woody.
Absolutely not taking any responsibility for any missing trophy. The league one last year, I didn't even realise I had it. To be honest. It was probably muddled in with all my other trophies.
Your other trophies, Woody.
Oh, sorry.
It. Exactly. Yeah. I think we had trophy last year.
Brilliant.
You knew he had it. You knew you had it. When you were telling us, mate. You were telling us.
He just knew.
Fucking
Speaking of which, Mike's asking who's Adam. It is throwing a few of our regulars off because we all only really know him as Woody. So just someone actually calling you Adam is
on the league up. There's a miscommunication in your management team there, Chiarna, because I'm pretty sure I told Ellie about 4 months ago that Erin had the cup.
The miscommunication is Ellie. She never told me anything.
I told her ages ago.
And then you turned up to training. I went, "Oh, Adam's here," and she went, "Oh yeah," and I was like, "Oh, didn't think you did." No.
Oh wow. Well, okay. Can we talk about the cup final for a bit then? But let's go beforehand. We had Grace on a week before the final, and she was sort of telling us about preparations and how she was getting her mind into it. But how was it for you? Like, you were just kind of telling us before we went live about you sort of 4 to 6 weeks beforehand, you had this plan and you were working a certain way. So tell us about the build up to it.
Yeah. So we had a few games in March where sort of things started clicking into place. So we had a bit of a formation switch as well. So we were playing 4-3-3, obviously very attacking, and then we changed to 4-2-3-1 just because of the injuries we had, and defensively we weren't particularly secure. So the plan was, Jordan, obviously one of my coaches, he said, "I'll work with the back line and we'll hopefully get defensively sound." I worked with the midfielders, and then when Ellie was there, we were like, we'll split off and make it a bit more like positionally specific. And then something clicked in the game where we played Headington in the semi-finals and we won 6-1, and it was like everything had just fallen into place from the whole season. And I just thought, actually, now the cup final plan is like, basically we know how come to play, and the last time we played them we drew 1-1. So I was like, no, this was 2 weeks before the semi-final, and I was like, actually, if we play the way we did in that second half against Headington, then we'll beat Cumnor. So from about 6 weeks, no, I think it was about 4 weeks actually, when they like sort of qualified for the cup final, I was like, no, we need to work on specific parts. So the part we worked on the most, Jordan got name dropped. God, he's gonna love that forever. So basically, Jordan worked on sort of the positioning of the centre back. So we've had an issue with leaving a massive gap in the middle where teams would try and play over the top. Very easy fix was drop the back line and anticipate, where the ball's going to bounce and have the game in front of you. And once we got the game in front of us, a lot of players seem to sort of be able to look up, recognise what might happen, and then react. So it was one of those where my idea was just work on the passing patterns, work on keeping possession of the ball. So I do say to the girls, the best part of playing football is when you've got the ball at your feet. The best part is keeping hold of it. So did a lot of possession. We did a lot of sort of technical 1-2 touch drills, and just made them really sharp. And then it started paying off in games, and it started really showing that the triangle patterns were working, and then overlaps for the fullbacks were working. And then we just had to work out the final product, which was scoring the goals. And luckily, we haven't had too many injuries in the attacking department, just our defensive back line that's had some big defensive issues. So luckily, all of them came back from injury at roughly the same time too. So the plan was literally possession-based football and just attacking. So I think we've scored, we scored quite a lot of goals in the last sort of 5 games leading up to the cup final. So basically, my thing was score more goals than them and you'll win a game, which,
it's really easy game football, isn't it?
Yeah, which is pretty true. So yeah, I just sort of played around with a couple of things tactically, inverted wingers and stuff like that. So the Chesterton game we played 2 weeks before the cup final. So they actually finished second by 1 point because we beat them and they get a point for losing in the league we play in. So we finished second by 1 point, even though we won that game, which is obviously a bit strange. But we beat them 4-0. And they were probably the best game to have 2 weeks before that cup final, because it was either going to highlight the weaknesses we still had that we hadn't worked on, or it was going to highlight the areas that we really did excel in. And obviously attacking play was what we excelled in that game, obviously, because it was 4-0. So yeah, and then it sort of informed my decision really of I knew I had picked the right cup final squad for me, because I picked it I think it was about 3 weeks. I think I confirmed who I wanted with Jordan and Ellie 3 weeks before the cup final game, which is quite far in advance, considering like injuries and stuff like that. But it was a long time for me personally. Like I think I spent probably about 6 hours watching back footage of Cumnor over like the 3 weeks before the game. Just I knew exactly how they were going to play. I have notes on like every single player, what they switch formations at halftime, where the goalkeeper kicks the ball most of the game and stuff like that. So for me, there was a lot of hours behind it. I don't think the players realise that happened, which isn't new, but it was a lot of time. I think I was really worried about getting it wrong, because obviously I didn't want to let the players down by having the wrong plan in the cup final.
Yeah.
But that was weeks in advance. I think Jordan heard about my game plan weeks and weeks and weeks in advance. So it was quite a long time.
Do you enjoy that kind of studious side to what you have to do?
I actually do. I do. Obviously, because I have a degree in sport and I did sport coaching and things like that when I was at uni. And I loved it. I just thought it was great. Like an analysis, I really like picking up like little bits and like figuring out, oh, actually something's changed there. And, he swaps his wingers, and like, this is Cumnor, I mean, he swaps with his wingers, and then his number 6 sort of starts really high, drops deep to pick up the ball, then she plays it wide. And it was just like picking up the patterns that they've done. And then it's like watching him swap formations and how we can counter that. So their 3-5-2 that they started in, I countered that with the 4-2-3-1 to sort of match the midfield and then hopefully change the play. So I spent quite a long time studying what he did in order to inform what we were going to do. But I do quite enjoy it, because obviously we've got VO, which obviously records all the games, and it does the analysis, like the stats for you. So like the passing patterns, and they've now got like an analysis 2 thing where it tells you like there was a string of 10 passes in the phase of play in 23 minutes, or it tells you like certain things, which is really useful actually when you're trying to play possession-based football, because then you can see where that pattern has worked and where it hasn't worked. And I'm a bit of a nerd, so I do like those sort of things and like studying what's going on. I find it's more interesting because then you feel a bit more like prepared.
Yeah, 100%. Before we talk about the game itself, I have to ask, I was very much enjoying the online content that was being posted, particularly Coach Karaoke.
There was more. I'm so glad Cal didn't upload that.
Now, I have to ask, whose idea was it and how much fun was it to do?
Whose idea was it? Well, the coach driver, he was pretty cool. He started playing We Are the Champions, and obviously the whole coach joined in with no trophy, obviously. And then he was like, oh, you can put your phone on. And then it was like a race of who could connect first. And I was like, it's going to be me. I'm going to win. I have to win this game. So I connected first and just like playing like some house music as you do. And then Ellie was like, here, let's just start. Let's do a sing-along. I was like, really? Like, we got on the coach at 1 o'clock, like 1:30. This is already like 7:15, leaving the ground. And I was like, really? Like, can we just like all be calm? Just fun the game. Obviously, we're not going to be calm. And then I went, it's all right. I got this. So because just put like a sing-along playlist on that I've got. And then I was like, let's have a bit of fun. Why not? They're all singing at the back of the coach. Let's just join in. And I think that was the 3rd song. And then people started recording us. And I was like, Ellie, this is enough now. Like, I can't have this on over social media. I will never live it down ever again. But the players liked recording me and Ellie, obviously, because they're a bit like that on socials, aren't they? So, but that TikTok they made, I thought that was class. Did you see it? Yeah, that was class.
No, absolutely. So how were you feeling on Saturday? Like, just as it was about to kick off and as the game was playing and then obviously going 1-0 down as well, how were you feeling at that point?
So before the game kicked off, obviously there was a bit of a mess with like us being on the pitch. So we had to warm up in the field over the back, which was like a little bit irritating because I had a whole plan, like almost like minute by minute plan of like, we're going to go put shirt, like we're going to go get changed, come out, quick feet with like this part with Jord, do the possession based game, shoot in, back 4, do a drill. Then we come back together, next sort of phase of play, and then go back in, put your shirts on, come out. And it's like, that's the plan, schedule, fine. When they say, you can only go on the pitch at 4:15, I went, great, fantastic. Then we couldn't go in the changing rooms until 4:20. And I was like, so they'll put their shirts on and then come out, like literally then come out. And then the guy was like, well, they better go in now. And I went, they're not out of the changing rooms yet. Where are you expecting them to get changed? So it was all very like irritating for no reason. And I just thought to be honest, I think a lot of that, like the pre-match prep, I think that put a lot of the players off in the first half, because I think everything felt really rushed and really like chaotic. And I just tried keeping the players calm, like we did all our normal things in the warm-up, and we just had a bit of a laugh with them and just made it feel like it was any other game. And then obviously there's a little bit of a crowd and things like that, and it got a bit loud. So I think some of the girls sort of went into panic station in the first 10 minutes. So I just said to them, like, you know what you need to do, you know what the game plan is, just be calm. And I just said to them, keep hold of the ball, and we pressed them for the first 10, pressed them really, really high, pressed that centre back, pressed the goalkeeper because she wasn't great. And then all of that went out the window in the first 10 minutes. And I just remember turning to Ellie and going, we need half-time now. We need half-time now. And then I got to chat to a couple of players, and then a couple of their challenges come flying in. So like they two-footed Liv, which I thought was bad. Do you think Oxford FA might not like Swindon? Probably shouldn't say too much. No, they don't. I've had a couple of incidents this season that you wouldn't even believe. So then I caught a couple of the players and had a quick chat to a few of them. And I was just saying to them, like, just settle, just calm. Like, don't just keep, hoofing the ball around. And then that free kick, I think it was, 36 minutes in that free kick. And I've seen that player hit that shot from that same position about 3 times this season. And I knew she was going to hit it once and it was going to be perfect. Or she was going to do a short ball and was still going to go top corner. I just knew something about that free kick was going to go in. And then I just looked at Ellie. But Ellie looked at me. I went round and she's like this. And I think I'm just stood there going, I knew that was going to happen. That's fine. And then I said to Ellie, we've got to do something. We've got to change something. So the weak part for us was where Liv is so quick with her feet on the left-hand side, it leaves us like caught out. So in the transition, so when we lose the ball, it's almost like we get a bit shocked, and it's like the players didn't know what to do when we lost the ball in that exact second. So their winger, the blonde girl on the left, on their right hand side, and then Liv was against her. Where Liv's slightly smaller but obviously quicker, Liv was like caught out in possession. So then it left our right hand side really, really exposed. So they quite like a switch ball, Chiarna. So it was basically sort of try and catch the transition before they can counter. So then I decided to bring on Lola, just because as a player, she can hold the ball up really well and she's really strong. So I just thought, actually, if we bring Lola on now and try and slow that player down and then hold up the ball for us, then our team can, in transition, move nice and high and try and counter quick. Hopefully that would do something. And obviously that was when we were 1-0 down. So I think Lola coming on after that goal probably helped change the game after that, because I think we made it through to half time. We were probably quite lucky to be 1-0 at half time, in my opinion, because I was not happy with the way it was at all. It was all rushed and just messy.
Yeah.
Got to half time, and I've had a few of the parents ask me what I said at half time. Now, contrary to popular belief, I did not shout and I did not swear, which is pretty good, right? It's pretty good. 1-0 down, it's pretty good. I was actually quite calm, like half time, 1-0 down. I was really calm, and I've not had that before.
It's worth saying, I believe Jordan's still in the chat, so he'll be able to confirm if that's the case or not.
Yeah, George, you tell him. I was all right. I thought I was all right. Ellie said I was okay. The only thing I remember saying, to them, keep hold of that ball. It's your game to win. Grace said Key is telling the truth. See? I just remember saying, like, keep hold of that ball. This is your game to win. And then I said something else along the lines of, like, if you want to go in without a trophy, that's absolutely fine, but I don't. See, no shouting, no swearing. And then I just said to them, I was like, stick to the plan. We play our football, keep hold of the ball, and we tire them out. And I actually think the second half was probably one of the best second halves I've seen those girls play this year completely. It's like the flip switched again. And then at halftime, I made 2 more changes. I made attacking changes. I didn't make a single defensive change until like the 80th minute. And that was because she had cramp. So I literally put on 2 more players that I would arguably say are goal scorers, and then just sort of full press up the attack goes. That's not to say Cumnor didn't break, because they did, and we probably got lucky again not to have an equaliser from them. But we did absorb quite a lot of pressure, and then the last 10, it was like Cumnor didn't know what to do, and they were shouting at their manager and things like that. And our girls have done really well this year, and they've been really mature considering how young they are, of like game management in the last 10. And it's like they don't let themselves panic, and they try and talk to each other. And you know, it's quite interesting to see what personalities come out in a cup final. As I remember when I used to play, and you turn around and be like, why is she shouting at me for? She's not doing her job. But there wasn't really any of that, which is quite interesting, especially for a group of girls that age too. But yeah, I just remember there's a picture of when the first goal goes in. So Liv's obviously left-footed, and she's very, very, very technical, and her feet were like glue in the second half. As soon as she come back on in the second half, it was like glue. So I had a player on the left-hand side who can hold up the ball, player central that can hold up the ball, Liv, who can run onto it. And my plan was, if we hold up the ball on this left-hand side, play it through over to Liv, get a ball in the box, we've got some hope in how of getting it in the goal. So then Liv does like, it's like, I don't know, I think she went around 2 players or something like that and pulls it out, hits it with her left foot that's like golden from the right hand side. And it was like, oh, it was beautiful. And then I just literally, there's this picture of me just going, it's gone in. And then there's like water being thrown everywhere from the sub bench. And I was like, oh, there's a goal. There we go. And there's literally this picture of me and Ellie just going, what? Honestly, it's class. And then I was just like, no, we're going to win this game now. As soon as it went 1-1, I just thought, nah, we've got this now. They know what they need to do. Because once we score 1 and they settle again, they seem to sort of want to score as many as they can. And then, you know, shots galore. And I remember at halftime as well, I said to them, just shoot. We know she's not particularly good. Like, I don't mean it as in she's not very good, like a good goalkeeper. I mean, she's not good at diving to like the left-hand side for one as well. She's really slow to the left-hand side. She dives a bit better to the right-hand side. And I just thought, well, no one took a clear shot on goal the whole first half, I don't think. Not a single shot on target for the first half. So I was just like, we got 5 players on the pitch that can score goals, like out and out can score goals. And I was like, no one's even given it a go yet. Yeah. So yeah, it was my whole sort of thing. I was very positive. Ellie was very positive. The ref, I thought, did well, was, to be honest with you, considering how we've seen Cumnor play sometimes, for them to pick up 3 yellows in that cup final is quite a few, to be honest. And then obviously Maddie Hines picked up 1, but hers was in retaliation to that player. But, you know, it's going to happen when it gets a bit heated. And obviously Cumnor then, I would say, got a bit more arsey with each other, and then started internally sort of combusting, and then their manager just stopped talking halfway through the second half. And obviously, if I was 2-1 down in that situation, stopping talking and not coaching is the worst thing to do, because that's when the team obviously implodes. Obviously, we were lucky to be on the right side of the result, but I think that second half we did deserve to win. And I 100% believe as well, if we'd have gone to penalties, we would have won on penalties as well, like 100%.
Well, I've got a few more questions I want to ask you yet, but Woody, you were there, so tell us from your perspective, watching on, what the game was like. And I mean, the messages we were getting from you, we could tell you were almost as buzzing as everybody else with the result in the end.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you know, apart from what seemed to be atrocious in terms of organisation. I mean, I think we're still waiting our runners-up medal, so it's not just the Oxford FA that don't deliver. But yeah, it was to be fair, it was a great advert for women's and girls football, even to the extreme of like he said, kind of around the 3 yellow cards. That's unheard of in under-18s football, in girls football. And I'm not saying that you should encourage teams to be dirty or things like that, but what it does show is there's 2 different types of game. And I think overall, the first 20, 25 minutes of the first half, I thought both teams started really nervous. I don't think any of them really could find a foot in. Cumnor, the free kick, leading up to the free kick, you could probably see that Cumnor were going to score. But I think, as Michelle just put up, it was probably what Key's lot needed, really. Because the second half, I don't think Cumnor really got a look in, to be totally honest. I think Grace had to pull off some, very important saves in the second half, but they weren't saves that I wouldn't expect her to make, if that makes sense. So, although she did have a little bit of a fumble at one point, which was a bit worrying.
No. When it was like 1-on-1, oh my God, my heart sank. My heart rate in that second half, by the way, I've checked it, was like this. And then the director of football stood behind me and he goes, Key, how you feeling? I went, I don't want to have a heart attack at 23, mate. Like, let's not discuss it right now. Let's wait till the whistle goes. And he was like, okay.
Yeah, but no, it was credit where it was due. I think, I was listening to Key, the way that they analysed the game, and the game plan worked perfectly. I think the subs were spot on. It's always difficult in a cup final. Obviously, Chiarna's played for me. It is always difficult when you've got players that you want to really get on the bench because it's a cup final, right? But it had to be quite intelligent with the subs. I think I've said all season that the under-18s especially have got such a wealth of attacking options in their ranks. You could almost argue that you could change whether it's the front 3 or the front 2 or the front 1. You could change them at half time and it wouldn't actually make it that much weaker. Olivia's goal was something special. That was a cracking goal. But the second goal, the build-up play towards that as well. But what I loved about Olivia's goal, speaking to Maddie Hines' dad, and literally about 2 seconds before I went, we're going to score in a minute. And then Livy's just turned that player and put it in the top corner. I forgot to put the lottery ticket on Saturday night though. She
scored that exact same goal 2 weeks before as well against Chesterton, probably a bit more central, probably slightly bit closer. So when she did that turn, I almost knew she was going to shoot, but also couldn't look at the same time because I was like, oh no. Her left foot's golden.
Yeah, it's a very, very talented player that I have. She is a very talented player that I have no doubt will be touching the first team squad next season. But it's I think fully deserved. Really, it was nice to see. Cumnor. I don't mean this in a horrible way, but it was quite nice to see them imploding because they are a side that are used to winning everything. They've won everything for so many years. Key and I coached one of their players last year. It's kind of. They are a side that are just used to winning everything. So, and they had obviously won the league this year, although the league's a bit strange in terms of its points format. But it's, and what I think around the whole day, it was a little bit of icing on the cake because I'm pretty sure 4 Swindon-based teams won competition. They won their cup finals that day. Which probably I shouldn't be saying because you guys know the trouble that I had to put the under-18s into that league in the first place because they didn't want us to join it. So, but no, it was that, I was buzzing, as you said, I was buzzing. I was proud of the girls. I was proud of Key, Ellie and Jordan. It was great, really good advert for the club and just showed. And I think one thing I want to say, because Cumnor seemed to have this real big thing on social media about saying how they're an under-17s team and things like that. To my knowledge, only 2 players in Chiarna's squad were actually under 18s. And that's, I think, Grace and Amy Hunt, I think are the only 2 that are actually under 18s, if I remember rightly. So they, as well. Yeah. So it's, it's not like it was a complete under 18 squad that Cumnor up against. But no, really good. And proud from all. I thought it was buzzing. And obviously, we'll probably speak about it anyway, but funny enough, I've just drawn it up. I drew up the message that Chiarna sent me in October last year type thing, or October the year before, just saying, by any chance, do you fancy anybody helping out and coaching? And I think, to be fair, to see that message go all the way to, Saturday is just, well, fucking amazing, to be fair. Sorry, Michelle, Grace is under 17, so there's only 1 under 18 in your squad. yeah, so I was absolutely buzzing to see that come to fruition, because it would have been a hard task, and the guys have nailed it.
So if I can ask a couple more questions before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening, and we welcome the rest of the panel on. What we like to do when we have guests on for the first time is get to know them a little bit better, and their sort of journey through football to where they are. So sort of starting from what age did you start playing yourself, and team supported, favourite footballers, that kind of thing growing up?
So
look at the smile on Woody's face here as well, by the way.
Because he knows half of my story. I'll tell you, he could have told you himself. No, so basically, I started watching football when I was about 5. My granddad was a big, massive Man United fan. Don't all boo too loud.
It's all right. We've had them all. Arsenal. I'm sure we had West Ham at one point.
Arsenal bottled it anyway. So, yeah. So started watching it when I was 5 with my granddad, and then my uncle played like 5-a-side football, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I was quite a small child, like really small child. And my mum was like, do you want to do this? Like, my sister was dancing at the time, and mum was like, do you want to go to dance class? I was like, nah, let's go in the mud. That's better. And then I joined a boys team when I was 7. So I was still in primary school, which was Pennell Knights. All the boys at school played. I never got on the pitch. I used to play the last 10 minutes. He used to stick me up front because I didn't get hurt. And then I think that was when the rule changed, where girls couldn't play with boys when you turned like 12, I think it was. So I was 11, and then I needed a team to play for. So it just conveniently happened. My mum's best friend from school, her daughter played for Swindon Spitfires. So I then played 1 season with the boys and the girls at the same time. So I would train with the boys like in the morning, go to the game on the Saturday with the girls, and then train on the Sunday and play with the boys. And then sort of was like, boys football's naff. No way. I don't like it anymore. I was 11. Nope, not doing that. So I went to Spitfires full time, and then Woody came. Woody was already there. He was the assistant coach, and it was Simon at the time, I think it was. And I remember, because the first time we got to the cup final, we played Oxford City, and I had a number 7 on the back of my shirt, and it said Della on it. And I remember I said to my mum, I was like, Mum, my shirt's got my name on. And she was like, what? I was like, it's got my name on. She was like, no, it hasn't. I was like, it's got my name on it. It says number 7. And obviously at the time, Ronaldo was at United, and he was number 7. And obviously I was like, that is so cool. I still have the shirt somewhere in a box in the attic as well, just because I thought it was so cool. And yeah, I just remember we won that cup final as well, and that was the first sort of time I'd experienced like winning the game. My boys' team were crap, by the way, absolute crap. Bottom of the table. Like, I scored 1 goal, and the boys thought like, no, she can't play for us because she scored a goal. And I was like, well, that's not very nice, is it? And I went to school with all these boys, and they were horrible to me. So yeah, and I went to the girls' team and we won this cup final, and I just remember going to the boys, your shit, see you later. Yeah, and then obviously I played at Spitfires, and I always played as so from the boys, they put me up front. And Jordan played for the boys. Sorry, George. George played for that boys team as well. Sorry.
Jordan, you shit, mate.
Jordan, you were also shit, and then you got me. Don't come at me. I forgot about that. Oh, God.
He's looking for another coach next year, by the sound of it.
I'm going to be on my own at this rate, I'll tell you. Yeah, so then I went to this girls' team. Obviously, we won that. And then I just remember Adam took over. I think it was the year or 2 after. I think it was the year after. And we actually had a female assistant manager, which obviously when I was younger, every coach around was pretty much male. So we had Pinkney, who was our assistant manager. She's now the manager at Purton Ladies. And it was just like, I've always grown up around someone who's like female, and obviously Adam was pretty good.
That's a cracking soundbite. If someone could just clip that. I've always grown up around female, and obviously Adam. Yeah,
but he's an exception to the rule. He knows it too. You put me off now. Look.
Sorry.
God's sake.
It was just
yeah.
his face. I couldn't help it.
Well, because
It wouldn't be a Falls episode without something like that happening, Keith.
sorry, Adam. And then my manager at the boys team, he wasn't very nice to me, like, because his son played for them, and obviously played the same position as me, and obviously because I was female, he didn't really like me at all, and my dad obviously really disagreed, so he was not very nice. So when I went to like Spitfires, and Adam was like, I was in the starting 11. I was like, this is crazy. Like, what the hell is going on? And I think it just really changes you, especially when I was so young, like 12, 13, wanting to play football. George put Key was way better, by the way. He knows. He's trying to keep his job. That's what he's trying to do.
I like that it's your first time appearing and you're already producing the show as well, like telling me the comments before I've shown them up on screen.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah. And then I just remember we won quite a lot, or we were runners up nearly every year. So it started like the feeling of wanting to win. So I think when I first sort of stopped playing, it became like a weird, you know, when you win something, I'm a very competitive person because obviously I teach as well. So it's like when you start winning something, like you become like addicted to it and you just constantly want to win games. And if we didn't win, we were upset or we were annoyed. And I think Adam has the same sort of feeling because our group of girls, excuse me if I'm wrong, but we were actually quite good for our age group as well, especially in the league we were in, because we were in the Oxford League too. And we were arguably one of the best teams in that for probably 4 years. So when you do lose games, it's like, fuck, what are we going to do now? Or that sort of thing. And I think Adam had to manage the expectation of us always wanting to win, as well as trying to get us to be better than we already were. So when you've got a group of girls that are 13, 14, especially me with attitude, thinking they know what they're talking about, Adam's laughing because he knows it's true. It's quite hard. But then, obviously, I just kept playing under Adam, and then you left. I think we was under 16s at the time, and I was about to play women's football, and I was a bit like, don't know what to do here. Do I stay? Do I go? He was going to say something then. Sorry, Adam.
No, I left. Yeah, just before you went into under 17s. I left.
Yeah. And then I was still quite small. I was quite like, I wouldn't say lanky, but I was like tall, but like really skinny and really thin. So I was a bit worried about ladies football. And then I played a couple of games for Spitfires women's team. Then I went to uni, and I played at uni for the first year. And then I couldn't like do both at the same time. So I ended up giving it up for a little bit, stopped playing for a little bit. Kia's better reading the comments.
Sorry. Sorry, this is a running joke that Rich just has to stop when he's talking. He can't read and talk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you just got to wait for the delay for him to respond to that comment whilst he reads.
Are you ready yet, Rich?
I can't do it. I just can't do it.
It's just the way the brain works, you know.
Oh, I know. Kia, I just wanted to go back to something you were saying, obviously, in terms of about when you were playing, obviously, with the boys team and then going on to playing with the girls team and stuff like that, and obviously how your coach wasn't very receptive to you for whatever reason that might be. But I love how the culture is sort of starting to change now, because I've got a girl on my team, and we've played against teams with loads of girls in their teams as well, and the encouragement and the progression that we're getting through the girls now in all the underages is starting to shine. And I think it's just absolutely brilliant to see.
Yeah, that's why I don't know if that's why I've ended up loving it more than I thought I would. So to cut a long story really short, I stopped playing for a few years just because like personal sort of like issues, and then I had a lot of like confidence issues when I was at uni and things like that, and then I have a lot of anxiety too. So then I was just finished uni. I finished my 4th year, so I'd finished my teacher training, and I'd gone through like a really bad breakup, like you know, like, you always, as you just do. And it was at the point where it was like I either play it, try and coach it, or do something. Because, you know, like something was missing, and it sounds weird, but there was something that like I couldn't quite get to grips with. And I was just like, this isn't me. I don't know what's going on. Like something didn't feel right with myself. And I think a lot of people, more people talk about it now than they did before, but it was like I was driving myself insane and I needed something else to like focus on other than me. And I just dropped that message to Woody, and because I saw that he'd posted he wanted some coaches, and 2 people I knew like went to do it, and then I think they both left quite quickly after. And obviously Ellie was with Adam anyway.
What does that say on Woody?
Not Adam's fault that they left, but like, and then I was like, it's just, you know, I hadn't coached for a while, and obviously Spitfires had a massive rivalry with Swindon Town at the time as well, and I was like, I'll just try it because obviously I trust Adam and I known Adam for a long time, so I even said to Adam, I was like, the first session I went to, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to commit to this or if I can just casually come and go as it sort of goes. And then I think after the first session, Adam went, look, we need someone. Do you want to do it or not? And I was like,
yeah, he does that. He's quite forceful like that.
I'll tell you what, I could be a recruiter at any level. Telling you that now.
and then
we need someone.
You can see his HR hat came right into fruition there.
But it worked though, because I was like, yeah, actually, yeah, I will. And then I come back a week later and was like, I love this. This is great. And like the girls it was interesting because obviously I'm still quite young. So some of the girls sort of looked at me and was like, are you playing? And I was like, no, I'm not playing. I will be coaching or trying to. And then I think that made it slightly better because obviously then I knew quite a few of them already. And then as the season went on, I had really good relationships with like Maddie Shepherd, Maddie Hines, and some of the other players that you would say have really big personalities in the team. And for some reason, it was like we could sort of, me and Ellie talking to them, could like bring them back down a little bit of a level, as Adam's obviously controlling the whole team. So I think it did me a favour, and I will 100% hold my hands up to this and say it did me a favour.
Oh, hang on. Before you say anything, if this is going to inflate his ego anymore, please don't.
No, I think watching how Adam interacts with players, like as a male to female players, how he interacts with players, is probably built quite a lot of the foundations of how I thought to do it after. Because as a female talking to them, it's completely different anyway. But watching a male do it and have Jordan come in under me, and then having to sort of show him how to do it, was like, I've sort of taken what Adam's done in terms of himself and said to Jordan, you should try this and see if that works for you. And actually, it's worked wonders knowing how another male has spoken to those exact players for him coming in. Because obviously Jordan's 24, so he's quite young to them. Like, he's close to their age too. So
yeah, Woody isn't 24.
No, he's miles off 24, but... but it's interesting.
There goes the inflation of that ego.
I had to bring him back down to level, you know. I had to bring him back down.
Do you know what, Key? I've got obviously similar because I've seen Woody coach for years, whether or not that's in a game situation or actually training.
That's years plural, Woody.
Yeah. And I've taken up little bits that Woody's done as well, and it's actually helped me as well. And yeah, you get a lot of success by just taking just the little bits, just the way you can manage players, the way you're just picking up little bits. So I completely agree with you there, and yeah, it's really, really good to see.
P, can I ask you a question? Sorry, you said you posted on your Instagram when you posted about the cup win that when you started this journey as a manager, you were nervous because it was your first managerial role, and can also say it's fascinating listening to you talk about your analysis of the game and the opposition and all. It's you obviously know your stuff, and you've got quite a bright future, I think, as a coach. But what do you think, as this is your first season in management, what's the biggest thing, or what do you think you've learned from your journey this season? Take time to think about it if you want.
I don't know, because I think at the start, so we have this guy who helps us. His name's Mark Haining. He actually works for Oxford FA, and he's a coach developer. And at first, when they said they were sending me a coach developer, I was like, oh no, I'm going to get told off. He's going to tell me what I'm doing is wrong, all this sort of thing. And And when he came in, he actually said to me, he was like, Key, I don't think you realise that you do know what you're doing. You just don't want to do it yourself. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Because obviously I'd plan these sessions and go, is that okay, Ellie? Or do you think that's okay, Jordan? Obviously me and Ellie at the time were sort of joint managers, and then Ellie took a little step back just because of work. And I was like, shit, how am I going to do this on my own? Like, how am I going to do this and manage 19 players that are pretty much looking up to me, and I hadn't done it before. And I was so scared of like the parents hating me for doing something wrong, or thinking that I didn't know what I was doing just because I was young and hadn't done it before. And then I kind of just was like, do you know what? Fuck it. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. And if I have to leave halfway through the season, then that is what it is. And I turned around to the club and I said, you do realise you need to give me 3 months. And they said, 3 months for what? I said 3 months for me to sort of either adjust to it or walk away. And 100% honest with you, without sounding like a bitch, some of the other members of the management that are no longer at the club probably tried making my life a little bit harder than it needed to be, just because they thought they knew better than me. And in hindsight, it probably was better that I didn't listen to them, because I figured out my own team, my own way, and playing my own style of play, even though they were trying to tell me to do something different. So, and that's not me sounded like I knew what I was doing. It was just because I thought our team was like, the players are different players in each age group. It doesn't matter if they're playing for the first team or the under 18s. Like, having another manager essentially say to me, oh, that's wrong, and then we won a game, and I went, is it wrong if we won the game? Or is it wrong if this player still did exactly what I needed them to do? Or like, it's just quite interesting for me how other people try to influence me into being a slightly different coach than I actually am.
Yeah.
And I think it was weird as well, because it was like everyone was on a different hymn sheet, but I sort of knew what I wanted to do with the team, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just took like 100% reins, and like every session, I've planned pretty much every session this whole season, and obviously had influences from Ellie and from Jord, and then Jord will take defenders and do, because he's a better defender than me, so he'll do other things. And I think that's worked out better, because I quite like the control, but also I can give it away to other people, if that makes sense. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
it sounds like you are your own person. You are your own manager. You know how you want to manage this team, and also, as you said, delegate as and when, and that's surely that's the good signs of a good coach, really.
Yeah, and obviously the problem was as well. Adam told me last year, he was like, "Oh, the amount of WhatsApp messages you get from like parents, players, etc." And obviously, I'm a teacher. It's not like nothing's an easy job, but it's not like you can switch off and like you can go and do this. It's not like that. And I was just thinking, oh God, I'm gonna have to teach all these lessons, plan for my job, and then plan all these football sessions, and then go to the games. Whole weekend like full of things to do. And it actually worked out that I was better at it, like the time management with myself, than I actually thought. Yeah. And then you start doing analysis, and now it's like I could probably do 5 different jobs with my eyes closed, just because of how much stuff like was going on at the time. And you can ask Jord as well. Like we make music, we were DJing and those sort of thing. And then I was managing a football team, and I was at work. And I just remember looking at my mum, and she was like, "You're like Superwoman. What are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just need to be doing something all the time." So I tried to just channel that into the team. And actually, I think what I've learned the most to carry into next year is probably don't focus on what's right in front of you. Focus on what the bigger picture is. So my bigger picture was 3 weeks out from the cup final, focusing on that game, that team, but actually putting the building blocks in place for the players so that they understand what I'm talking about. Because I think at first I was like, right, we need to play out from the back. Sorry, what team plays up from the back within a week? They don't. So I remember being like, back to the drawing board. How do we do that? Okay, so we do some very basic 5-yard passing. Okay, now we move on to put the back 4 in. And now we move on to Grace kicks out from here, or Grace kicks to here. What do we do? Let's react. Okay, let's have the attackers then come in and press. Okay, we're playing out from the back. Lovely. But that takes 6 weeks. That doesn't take like a week as I thought it would. So probably coaching in the blocks I did in the second half of the season probably had the better impact than in the first half, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
just to know as well, we lost 2 games this year. One because we didn't turn up and it was horrendous, and the second one was against Cumnor, which is quite interesting. And then we haven't lost since. And that's not to say we changed things. I think it was just the players started working together like better, and they realised what the message was that we were trying to like put across and what we were trying to play like. Mm-hmm. So I think then to win that cup final for me, I come off and said to Adam, I was like, when you feel like you want to cry because you're so like, not like overwhelmed, but you feel like you've like done what you set out to achieve at the start of the year. And it was just crazy that I saw in that second half everything I'd worked on with the players the whole season. And it was just bonkers that can be the final product. So I think for next year, that sets us in a really good place to sort of start, because obviously we'll have new players to slot in and stuff like that. So yeah, for me, I think it's more like continuing on the journey I am on. And I think I've learned a lot more than I could probably tell you, if that's a good enough answer for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was more than I expected, to be honest. But yeah, no, yeah. And again, congratulations, and yeah, it sounds like you're really enjoying it as well, which is obvious from how you've been speaking. So yeah, that was good.
I've really enjoyed this, and I really hope that you will find time to come on again, because I think there's so much more to hear from you about. But before you go, there is just 2 other things I'd like to ask. Don't worry, I haven't taken the picture that I was said, but I have to, it has to be said, as you mentioned Woody and his influence. I have been sent the picture that says 12 years ago to the same weekend.
My mom.
Do you want to just talk about that briefly?
Yeah, so obviously the cup final day was a bit of a whirlwind, and like I couldn't sleep at all the night before, the night after, and all that sort of thing. I woke up Sunday morning. I hadn't even seen my parents after they left the game on Saturday. And I woke up and my mum had put this post on Facebook, and I just saw the picture, and it was literally, I think I was probably 11 or 12 in the picture, and I'm in the corner like this, like hiding my little trophies like this. Like my best friend is in the picture as well. Like we weren't best friends at the time, but like best friends now. And I just looked at it and was like, oh my God, that is. And I remember that day. I remember 12 years ago, like winning that cup, and I remember Adam being there, and I remember like. I still remember like waving the flag that said like "Come on the village," which was what everyone used to say, and it was crazy. And my mum had another picture, and it's me holding my, I think it was like I think I'd won an award. I think it was like most improved or something for one of the seasons. I can't remember how old I was, and my mum was like, "Crazy to think you now manage your own team," but I didn't think that would ever happen, and it's kind of like. It's crazy because it feels like now something I always should have done.
Yeah.
Like
Destiny.
I feel like I always should have managed a team as soon as I stopped playing. I don't know what I was doing for 2 years of my life where football wasn't in it. I didn't even watch it. I couldn't even watch it on TV. Like something just happened where I just didn't love it anymore. And now my poor boyfriend, he's just all the time, he doesn't know anything about football, and he's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, Key. Yeah. And I'm like, he's thinking, shut up. Like, what? Just go back to football, go back to the county ground, like, go away. So, yeah, I think I got quite emotional when I got home, because I thought it's like full circle, and I don't know what I would do now if I wasn't coaching. Like, even if it's not Swindon, like, I'm not leaving, by the way. I'm the only manager that didn't get sacked, by the way, in the whole club was me. Just saying. That's got to speak for itself. I'm the only one that won a trophy. You wait. The presentation evening's on Thursday. I'm going to get told off. You what?
Yeah. You don't
before I-
want to know. You don't want to know the comment I put in our WhatsApp group after I took the picture of you, Freaky. Don't worry. I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
Before I ask one final question, Woody, do you remember 12 years ago this weekend very vividly as well? It's a long time ago now. Many trophies ago.
There's no bigger memories than that, you know.
I was assistant that day because and it was quite funny because I had actually ran the team for all of the cup games leading up to that because Simon had work. And I remember quite controversial presentation evening that night as well, because I think Simon took the cup home, and
he did. Yeah,
there was a few parents saying that if any coaches should take it home, it should have been me because I did the route to the final. But yeah, I was quite young then as well. So I wasn't that young, but no, I do remember it because Simon made the biggest thing I remember from it because it was against Kidlington, if I remember rightly, that final, and we changed our goalkeeper with about 5 minutes to go, 5-10 minutes to go, and I just remember now nothing again. We had two goalkeepers, both were good, but one of them in particular was a cup goalkeeper. Ella was very much a top quality keeper, and Simon decided that he almost did the opposite of what Key would have done in that situation and gone, I want everybody to play. So he brings on our sub goalkeeper, and I just remember throwing my fucking arms up in the air, walking down the line, going, what is he doing? And I just remember the guy who made the Come On the Village poster taking a photo and going, did you see what you did when he brought the when he brought Abs on? And that was no disrespect to Abs because we all loved Abs. He was brilliant. But but I was just like changing the goalkeeper with 5 minutes to go or whatever it was. But I do remember that day. It was a fantastic day because it was my first season with Key and the girls. And you know, I think at that point, because it was my first girls team as well. So I think at that point I knew I'd made the kind of right decision to switch from boys to girls football as well. So yeah, I do have vivid memories of that day. And I still speak to a lot of those players now. Obviously Key is the obvious one, but I still speak to quite a few of those players that were involved in that squad. And not all of them are still playing, unfortunately. But that's just football, I guess. And like I say, it went on to, you know, if I take any pride in what I've done as a coach, I look at it and I go, like you say, Key has just managed a cup winning side. She already mentioned Emma Pinckney, who was my assistant. She's now managing her own ladies side. You know, so if I take any pride in that, it's just seeing those people come through. So yeah, it's I do remember it vividly.
For my final question, in true Fools Rush In style, I've given you no time to prepare, and I'm just going to drop it on you, so no pressure for a really good answer. But we've been very fortunate this year that Grace has been on a number of times, and she's actually coming on again on Friday herself. We've got a fairly good idea of what she's like now, but really, what is Grace like?
So, cup final, she come up to me and was like, "Key, I'm actually like really nervous. This means so much." After the game, I give her a hug and she was like, "You don't realize how much this means to me. You know, I've always wanted to win this cup," this sort of thing. And to be honest, obviously she's our captain as well. Which controversially, some people don't agree with the goalkeeper being captain, but for me, it was no.
Oh, you listen to her talk for 5 minutes, you know she's a captain. Oh
yeah, and she invited half of Swindon to the game, so you know, that's just great. But she does work really hard, and she's very. Let's say she knows what she wants to do. She knows how she wants to improve, and obviously now it's my job to put her in the right places to do that. She's obviously still quite young, so she does have a lot of things to do. Like on Saturday, for example, I remember this, so I'm really sorry, Grace. I remember saying, the last time I tell you nicely, do not kick it at number 6 again, right? She just looked at me and went, okay, sorry. Like, and I was like, I wasn't even being horrible, but that's just what happened. But yeah, she is a character. Like at training, she does G the girls up, and she gets her little speaker on, and she's like in the gym like this, and yeah, she is class. She's probably one of the beaming lights in our team, which obviously is the best thing. Oh, Grace said sorry. Sorry, Grace. I don't I wasn't trying to be mean. I had a plan and it just wasn't working in the first half. So yeah, but no, she's exactly what she says on the tin, and she's class. So I do hope she stays at Swindon for a while, because I got some big things planned for her if she trusts me and lets me help her do it. So yeah, she is a character. I love Grace. She is absolute class.
Well, speaking of class, this hour has been absolutely class. Thank you very much. Hopefully, like I say, you'll be able to maybe come back before the start of the season and we can talk about plans and hopes and how you're going to retain the cup and win even more of them, that kind of thing.
We shall see.
Hopefully we'll be able to, or not. We'll definitely be able to find time to welcome you back. It's whether you've got time to come back on and talk to us. But no, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it.
I'm sorry for waffling on, guys. I do apologise.
Not at all. Not at all. And the last thing, just before you shoot off again, just congratulations.
Thank you. And guys, you guys have obviously posted things about the cup final and stuff like that, which was crazy. That's probably kickstarted a lot of things for the under-18s in particular, because obviously it's all about the first team. We know that. But for people to give support to the 18s, obviously the ultimate goal for them is to play for the first team. So really seeing that sort of success at the 18s, hopefully it all filters up for them. And a lot of these players should go far. And obviously I'll try my best to get them as far as I can at this football club. Obviously there are big plans for the women's team, by the way. There are big plans. So just hope everyone stays along for the ride. It's going to be a good one.
Certainly is going to be an interesting journey. Thank you very much for, like I say, for taking time out, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Have a nice show. See you later.
That was a lot more actually than I was expecting. Incredible insight, really. Like Craig was saying, just hearing all about the analysis side and seeing. Do you know what you could see again? How happy and proud you were, Woody, as things were being said as well, which was it was a really enjoyable first hour to the show to listen to it all. And again, can't congratulate the whole squad enough. We do have. Oh, go on.
So I was just going to say, I think the key thing that she's mentioned, the key thing that she's mentioned there about is just finding herself as a coach, because she knows, and Rich knows, that I'm not an analysis person. So that's not something she's got off me. That's something that she's taken on her own and done. Has done awesome at it. And that's why when you were saying it, that's why I was kind of looking at it, going like, I didn't even know she did all of that kind of stuff. So it's fair kudos. Definitely where it's where it's deserved. I'm absolutely chuffed that it seems that all that hard work she put into before the cup final has paid off, and obviously to the rest of the coaching staff and the players as well, because I know they worked particularly hard to get one overcome.
100%. Shall we turn attention to our season review? And we have an array of panelists waiting to have their say. So let's get them all straight on. Let's start with Wazza. Evening, buddy.
Evening, gents. How we doing?
Very well, thank you, sir. Yourself?
Very good, thank you.
You looking forward to this one?
I am looking forward to this one. That was a very good listen as well. I did have to go on mute when she was just giving Woody too much praise. It just had to go off. But no, that was a very, very good listen. All jokes aside.
Certainly was. Next up, a man who certainly got the message about attire for awards night. Evening, Nick.
Yeah, evening, Fifey. How you doing? I thought I'd get half smart, and just in case you worry about it, I'm also prepared. I got my shorts on.
Yes, he's got his lockdown outfit. He's got his lockdown outfit on.
His working from home outfit.
That's genius.
I'd just like to say,
to be fair, mate, in fairness, so have I. Like, smart shirt, but the shorts are on as well.
Yeah, but you always wear shorts, Fifey. I did just going to say that analysis of the game was fascinating, and I think to me, she's obviously done a lot more preparation than Jody Morris did when he was managing the first team.
100%. 100%. Are you feeling better? You weren't too well last time you were on.
Yeah, I'm better. I still got a bit of a chesty cough, but no, it's a lot better than it was. Thanks very much. Yeah, I'm on good form.
Good. Next up, let's go to the man who insisted that we dress for the occasion. Evening, Ben.
Evening, Fifey. Hello, boys. How are we all doing today?
Very well, thank you, sir.
Hi, Ben.
Yourself?
Good. Yeah, I know Ned just said it. I was going to mention as well that I thought we were going to do the Zav Austin for a second there. I thought we were going to have a little pop-up for a second, but no, good to see you made the effort, Nick. I love the tie as well. Smart.
Got to be
But
there.
yeah, what was all that about the praise about Woody and all that? I get my inspiration from Woody. What?
He's a very influential character. I mean, look at what he's done for Fools Rush In. Never mind all the girls and women that he's coached in his time.
He's a talent within himself, Woody. He's a good lad. He's
He certainly is. You're not the only person in your house joining Fools tonight. It looks to me, I might be wrong, but he's left his school uniform on to match the attire. Evening, Jack.
Hello, Fifey.
How are you, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much.
You've got 45 minutes to have your say because I've got strict instructions to make sure you get to bed. It's a school night.
Yeah.
He's dressed for bed already, Jack.
Well, he says, should I put a jacket on? But the only jacket he's got is a school uniform. And I went, no, you dress for school.
What's wrong with that, Ben? You've got your old man suit on. What's wrong with him putting his school jacket on?
Because it looks like he's going to school.
Yeah,
That's
but
right.
It's his
Just wear
fresh
it straight to
uniform.
bed.
Yeah,
Wear it
straight to
straight
bed.
to
Wake
bed
up.
and
He's ready.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Fair enough.
sorted for the morning.
Another 15 minutes. I reckon 11:15, to be honest.
Rebel.
We have one more panelist ready to complete this square of squares. Good evening, Ned.
Ned.
Bonjour.
How are you, sir?
Right? Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Oh, by the way, someone who said they suffered with anxiety, didn't she do well? She was amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Well done.
You realise we have Hernan Crespo on the panel tonight, Ned? That's a nice
I've got
band you've got there.
Do you know what? I was going to ask if Ned had a headband on.
Yeah.
Yeah, my hair sort
Hair
of
getting
comes
a bit
down
long.
to here. Yeah, it's sort of all, like all these teenage boys have it nowadays. There's a massive clump of hair here covering their eyes. Yeah, I've got that at the moment, so I just need to
get a bit of an Alice band on.
I can't see Jack having that, Ned.
No. Well, my son had it up until about 3 months ago. His hair was like literally covering his eyes. So weird. But anyway, hello everyone.
Hello, good evening. There's a lot of you on, and we've got a lot to discuss. So let's get straight into it as we look back on what was, it was a season. It wasn't necessarily a good one, but it was a season. Oh, AC straight in there, not messing about. Look, is that a Miguel Dominguez headband? Oh, Jack probably doesn't even remember who Miguel Dominguez is.
What a player.
Before he was born.
What a player. Guys, let's go back and we won't, everyone won't sort of have their say on every element. So just jump in on the sections you want. We all came into the new season. Garner had left. Scott Lindsay had been appointed. We'd assembled this squad based on a spreadsheet, and we were predicting anywhere between a 1st and 24th place finish. Some of us weren't particularly impressed, and some of us had, some of us had high expectations that certainly weren't fulfilled. Rich, I'm going to start off with you if I can, and let's go right back to July and losing 3-0 to Harrogate on the opening day of the season.
Yeah, no, I think that game, I definitely had emotions going into that game. Part of me was like you said, we've assembled this squad and everything like that. And I felt as if that it was going to be a very turbulent season like we had before, because it wasn't all plain sailing under Garner. In fact, everybody wanted him out at February time, like sort of thing.
Yep.
So I was fully thinking that we were going to go in and having another season like that, considering other teams were doing a lot of business quicker than we were. I still felt as if that we might do well-ish, but it was a tough one. But I drove up to Harrogate that day, and
It's a long old drive, that, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just had that sinking feeling that we were going to lose the game. I didn't think we were going to lose 3-0, but I had a feeling, and also it kept getting battered around that we hadn't lost an open game of the season for like 8 seasons or 9 seasons. So I don't think that helped either. I think that obviously put a lot of pressure. That probably put a lot of pressure on Lindsay as well. The fact that he didn't really, it didn't seem it affected him at that point. Obviously, we could see a few games down the line that he was getting his head down, and he looked very groggy and all that kind of stuff. And he wasn't coming across the way that we would expect a coach to be if he's either losing or drawing games, like sort of thing like that. So, but yeah, it was a bit of a shambles. I think there were still players in the team that we were still questioning whether or not they were going to be there and at the end of the transfer window. And it was very young. Just something hadn't quite clicked. And I think we probably should have taken what we had from the pre-season games, because they weren't good enough either. Like, we lost to Eastleigh, we lost to Supermarine. I think we lost. We drew with Melksham, or we just beat Melksham. We drew with another unknown team, like sort of thing like that. So I don't think the preseason was very well worked out, and I just felt as if we went into that start of that season so underprepared, unplanned, and just it was a shit show, and it led on from that really for many games after.
It certainly did. You used the word shambles there, and that's a great word to describe the season. But one thing I think it's fair to say that wasn't a shambles was contributions from different fans and what they were able to bring. In particular, a firm favourite of ours at Fools Rush In, Claire, who had an array of pictures throughout the season which caught the attention, a load of which I plan on sharing tonight. And it just falls nicely. And Ben, I'll come to you as we drift very quickly into August. And if you remember, first home game of the season, Salford, everyone's talking about whether this young kid from Middlesbrough should be our number one. And his name's getting read out on the team sheet, and his own fans are booing him after one game. It was a bit of a mess, wasn't it?
Well, the whole pre-season was a little bit of a mess, as you say, with Harrogate. Harrogate was just a continuation of the pre-season, which was diabolical. I think even Lindsay made a very bad joke about it being our last pre-season game, which to everyone who went to Harrogate was a bit of a piss take. But we were expecting something better at Salford. And to be fair, we got, because we all feared the worst.
What we got, Ben, was this moment you might recall. Harry McCurdy.
Harry McCurdy going around, probably having one of his worst games for the club, shouting at everyone and being a caricature of himself, and getting himself sent off. You mentioned the boos as well that the keeper got, and Mildenhall standing up for him, and then. I
remember a load of us, we were fuming at that point. I remember me, Woody, I think Rich, we were all came out and said, why is anyone booing a kid after one game? And then for
the next 6 months, Bryn was probably one of the best keepers in the league, and just like a big middle finger up at the town end, which was fair play to him.
Player of the season in the end.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, I think Swindon did very well. I think the actual game itself, we did well to get a point, because the first half we were a bit of a shambles, but one of the few times that Lindsay actually tactically changed things around at half time, I think Adroy had his best game for the club. No, he did. He came in the second half.
His best game for the club was in the only home game.
When was this?
Adloy, when he came on, the second half he came on, he played the main key for it, because we went into a diamond with one up top, and Adloy was the one.
Was that against Rochdale?
No,
Salford.
Oh,
And I
Salford.
think, and he was the right menace going forward. I think, was it Gladwin had one off the line, and I think out of the two teams who were most likely to score after getting battered for the first half against Salford. When we had 11 against 10, we looked a lot better. And I think kudos to Lindsay for that one. I thought tactically he got that right second half, which is a very rarity of the season. So I had renewed hope after that, and I thought we'd be all right this season, but it was false hope. The Salford game, I was quite encouraged eventually because the performance wasn't too bad, and we deserved the point that we got after the shit show from McCurdy.
Christian's saying player of the season was a protest vote. He was as much use as David Lucas. Throughout the rest of August, it wasn't too bad. There was a draw away at Carlisle. We drew at home to Leyton Orient, beating Rochdale. So it was an unbeaten month in the league. There was a 2-0 cup defeat to Walsall sandwiched in there as well. And something that I was particularly scathing of, Ned, was our performances in the cups throughout this season. And looking at what's been said about the new manager, perhaps something the club won't allow to just throw the cups again next.
It certainly did this season, didn't it? It felt like it was a complete waste of time. Stroke try out a few players. It doesn't matter if we lose. I guess that's the general consensus about the whatever it's called, the Pizza Pot Trophy. I guess that's the general feeling about that. But it's a trophy at the end of the day. It'd be nice to actually try and win something for a change, get a bit of glory. We all love going to Wembley, apart from when we're playing Millwall ourselves. Sorry, Jack. It will be nice to have a cup run, and the results are you get someone like Man City, don't you? So, let's try and push it this year. And I'm really glad that Flynn said that he's gonna go for it. But yeah, this season's cup efforts were absolutely shocking. I mean, okay, I was going to go back to something, but carry on.
Jack, out of interest, how much do you care about cup football?
I care quite a lot because I'm a young supporter, so I don't get to go to as many away games sometimes and stuff. So when you get like a trip to Wembley, or like you get a third round tie against like a Premier League team or something, it'd be an opportunity for me to go like elsewhere and see Swindon play. Yeah,
no, it makes sense. 100% makes sense. The rest of August saw Swindon draw with Stockport, and then another cup defeat, this time to Crystal Palace's under-21s. And it started one of our first big debates of the season already by the end of August, because in that month we'd played 5 league games, drawing 4 of them. And there was a debate going on about whether this amount of draws was good or not, I seem to recall.
It was an indifferent start, wasn't it? I thought everyone agreed that it was quite indifferent.
I don't think there was much agreement going on with what was being said at the time. Do you recall there being agreement, Woody?
All I'm going to say is we finished, 10th, 12th, whatever we finished. That's all I'm going to say. The start did not help us in any way, shape or form.
And of course, the end of the transfer window came and went as well, which took us into September. Another draw followed away at Gillingham before beating Sutton 3-2, a 1-0 win away at Doncaster. And suddenly, Nick, at this point, 17th of September, people are starting to believe, we're turning the corner. We're beating people like Doncaster and Sutton. We're going to go on a charge now.
Yeah, how wrong we were. God. Everything just petered out, didn't it? It just got bad for worse. Just to put some context in a few of the reasons why we finished 10th.
Go on.
I had a look at a few stats, and the points we dropped 26 points after taking the lead in games, where we lost 6 and drew 1. So it just shows how weak we were. With the opposition scoring first, we drew 4 won 3 and lost 11. So once we went behind, we were hopeless. And our favourite, late goals. This is goals from the 85th minute plus. In 7 games, we lost 6 and drew 1 from late goals. So it just shows what a weak underbelly we've had all season. And the other thing which was significant, red cards. There were 11 red cards in games involving Town. 5 for us, where we won 1, drew 2 and lost 2. 6 for the opposition, where we won 3 and drew 3. So, the whole season was just the amount of points we dropped is, and somehow we finished 10th, which is a minor miracle in itself for how bad we were.
Our discipline was shit this season.
Yeah,
it was.
It's been horrific.
But then again, I go back to the point that you made in terms of the stats, where we were losing games and stuff like that. We were just losing our heads half the time and all that kind of stuff. And we just couldn't cope with it. They just weren't strong enough mentally to get through that game, and and we saw it. It was a shambles. It was terrible. It was shocking. And but a lot of that's got to come down to the management as well. Whoever it is, Lindsay, Morris, Gunning, whoever you want to do, you've got to keep cool heads in that. And I think the whole management from any of the coaches, but maybe apart from Gunning, because actually Gunning got some good resilience out of the team when he had his couple of games as caretaker. But Morris and Lindsay, I just don't think they really had a clue.
Yeah, but they weren't helped from above. The whole recruitment was the biggest shambles.
Yeah, of course not. Of course
not.
Nick,
none of them had any help.
Nick, I'm just surprised from those stats that we only had 5 players sent off. I thought we were in double figures, to be honest.
That's just in the league. I think there was another 3 in the cups.
That's probably about right then.
Yeah, because we had one against Stockport, didn't we?
Good
Walsall. We had 2 against Bristol Rovers.
Yeah. Good
and
stats
then one against Walsall as well. Didn't Minton get sent off?
Minton got sent off there. So discipline was
shocking.
Yeah.
It probably did end up being double figures, Craig.
September concluded with a 2-1 win away at Grimsby, which, if memory serves correctly, saw Hepburn Murphy start and then go off injured again. But it did mean that victory meant we were unbeaten in 9 in the league, winning 4, drawing 5, and suddenly Ben's promises that all those draws were good was looking very, very promising. October. Who got sent off? Sorry,
Khan got sent off that game.
Shock.
Yeah.
October came and suddenly results started to change a little bit. We kicked the month off, losing 2-1 at home to Northampton before beating Newport 1-0. Myself, Rich, and Nick were among the travelling party to watch us lose 2-0 at Stevenage, which caused a post-match 35-minute argument between me and Ben on our WhatsApp group.
Only 35 minutes. Crikey, that's nothing compared to what you guys have recently.
I was telling Fifey just like to keep his feet on the ground and not being, stop being so chirpy, and he wouldn't have it,
Is that what you told him? Was it, Ben?
Yeah, I was saying
sure about that?
So bloody happy.
Yeah, words to that effect.
I wouldn't have expected anything else to come out of your mouth, Ben. That sounds like you every day, every Monday night, every Friday night on Fools.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Another cup defeat as Town lost 3-0 to Bristol Rovers, sandwiched between wins at home in the league to Colchester and Hartlepool. And then came a massive double header for Fools Rush In. Wazza, I'll start with you. Tuesday, the 25th of October, Bradford 1, Swindon 1.
The longest drive of my life.
That's boring. And you didn't even have Ben in your car.
No, I did.
Hey.
I tell you what, the company got me through it, to be fair, Woody and Craig, because it was just so far, I didn't even realise. But no, that was I think we all agreed it was a massive point. We all showed the players showed character, a lot of fight. And I thought we all thought, wow, we've got a point away at Bradford. You know what I mean? It really showed that we were going to be up for a fight. And using Nick's words, how wrong were we in the end? But
how many shots on target were we supposed to have had that game?
73.
7, wasn't it? Was it 7?
Yes, I think it was like 30.
It was one of these weird stats.
Well,
that
19.
looking at me, 19 shots on goal or something.
Yeah, it was something drastic.
And I was the only one going like, when? When did we have these shots?
Probably showed how bad our crossing was.
I remember all 17 of them, 5p.
That's funny because you still can't remember the first half kicking off at the sponsor game.
Jeff got 2 shots on target because he missed the pen or put it straight to the keeper and then had the tap in.
Yeah, that's 2.
Yeah. But it was just a massive point when we all felt like it last minute, and we felt like we played them off the park the second half, and we felt like we were, But
I didn't think we deserved to go 1-0 down that game either.
I don't know. I think it was a game of 2 halves. I think they could have been. They could have had a couple of. Very good. Yeah, they could have had a couple of. They could have had a couple of goals first half, I thought. And then
they started the stronger, didn't they?
Yeah. And then I think we lost Blake Tracy, wasn't it? Was that when Blake Tracy?
Yeah, that was
that was bad.
Yeah,
because he was switching quite well with Lavinia on the left, wasn't he?
We were all
going. No, Giandolo. Yeah, those two were class that game.
Another Lindsay masterstroke, we were all saying in the stands, weren't we? Yeah. Oh, look at them interchanging down the left, and it looked really promising, didn't it? And then,
Jack, Jack came to Bradford away, didn't he?
Jack did indeed. Yes.
Jack did come to Bradford away. You were mentioning earlier about away trips. Did you enjoy Bradford away and GDKs and seeing Liam and all that?
Yeah, it was very good. It's a very nice ground, obviously, at Bradford. Huge. I think it's about 25,000, I think. Something like that.
Do you fancy them to get to Wembley?
I hope not. I don't like Bradford. I hope they get smashed.
Good man, Jack.
Not listening.
Yeah.
And we can go. And I'll go Bradford away next season.
Yeah, Bradford away again next year. Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't that mean
Wazza's not driving this time?
No, I've got us in a box after the home game, didn't I?
Oh, of course,
Speaking to that director. So we've all got that covered, I think, for next year.
Yeah, don't get other podcasts doing that.
No, the phrase Scott Lindsay masterstroke was just used, and it was during this time of the season we were seeing pictures like this from Claire being posted with Darcy's hand in the air as well, and we were all very much believing he was going to be player of the season.
There was fist pumps all over the gaff.
Chest pumps and fists all over the place.
Was that just the shock of him having one good game?
That was it. That was his good game.
That was his good game.
The only one.
If you recall, there was a spell of about 2 or 3 games where this attacking midfielder Darcy was playing at right back, and everyone's like, "Oh, what a genius move this is!"
Yeah, that was right at the start of the season. That was like against Stockport and teams like that. Yeah,
it was indeed.
Yeah,
it was indeed. Of course, as we go through this, anyone who wants to share any memories of this fucking shit season that we've just suffered, by all means, throw them in the chat as well, and we can discuss them at the same time. But Rich, it was after the Lord Mayor's show, because we thought 1-1 away at Bradford doesn't get much better than that, does it? A few days later, Mansfield 2, Swindon 5. You missed the first 2 goals, didn't you?
I did, and that was fucking Ryanair's fault because I was flying back from Dublin and my flight.
Why did you just turn into Tweety Pie and Sylvester? I did.
I did.
But it's not a pretty cat.
Ryanair. No, never fly with Ryanair again. Although I think I'm flying with them
unless, of course, they want to be an official sponsor of Fools Rush In, and in which case, Ryanair.
Yeah, do it. No,
Where's
they
the
couldn't
private
afford
jet,
it.
Rich?
They couldn't afford us. Eh?
Where's the private jet?
They can sponsor Kieran.
Yeah, no, I missed the first 10 minutes. Yeah, because I was flying back over from Dublin. I'd taken a few days to go over and see some family. And yeah, no, I missed the first 10 minutes, and there happened to be 2 goals in that first 10 minutes. So I thought, oh, I'm going to miss the first 10 minutes. I was speaking to my mate 'cause he was going down separately from Swindon. And I was like, mate, I don't think I'm going to make kickoff. I think I'm going to be late. I was like, oh, mate, I'm not going to miss anything anyway. It's going to be boring, 0-0. These 2 teams, like, nah, not a chance. There's going to be no goals. Fucking 40 seconds in, I get a WhatsApp. I'm trying to find a car park near it. And comes up saying, Mansfield have scored. I was like, oh, you are fucking kidding me. I was half tempted at that point just to drive back to fucking Swindon. And then obviously, and then the next minute, I get out of my car and I see Swindon scored. I was like, oh, for fuck. I thought, right, that's going to be the whole game now. I've missed 2 goals. That's it. Done. Finished. Finito. First 10 minutes, there's been 2 goals. And then, wow. What a game that transpired after that. It was absolutely mental. It was great. Obviously, came and saw you guys, found you guys at halftime and everything like that.
Yeah.
And we just created an atmosphere in that second half. Honestly, we were just absolutely. We were on cloud 9, I think.
Yeah.
I just we thought we'd not seen a performance like this from Swindon in such a long time since the season before. You know, so it was absolutely mental. It was really, really good to see. And, you know, obviously at that point, I think we felt like, shit, we might actually get something out of this season. After a dreary, really boring start, we're starting to see some exciting football now. And I guess it takes managers sometimes to takes time for some managers to come in and actually apply their style and actually get a progressive style of football going.
Yeah.
And we thought, this game, yeah, fantastic. 5-2, absolutely unbelievable. Fucking everybody's flying overseas. Fifey loses his voice for 3 days.
Yeah, my voice was fucked.
So, yeah, absolutely crazy. But
Nick
what
lost
a
a couple of ribs that day as well.
Yeah, Nick lost some ribs. Rumor has it they're still in the car park in the retail car. Yeah, no, crazy day, crazy last day for me.
I'm just going to interrupt this this review slightly for this message that's just come through from one of our favourite opposition fans. Definitely a contender in that particular awards category a little bit later. But evening, Shah. Glad you're tuning in. She says, just wanted to say thank you again for having me on the show. Hope you guys do well next season. Swindon are my newly adopted league club. Good luck. And we wish, of course, Rochdale the very best of luck in getting back to the Football League and basically sorting out what Shah, I think herself has described as a complete mess of a situation. Hopefully everything will sort itself out very quickly for them and they can be back in the EFL. Nick, did you want to add anything just on Mansfield before we then start to talk about? Well, Rich used the saying progressive football. Yeah, it got progressively worse from November onwards, didn't it?
When things went up, it just comes straight back down again.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it was such a good day. I mean, we were meeting people that recognised us from the pod. Like you said, that was a bit weird. That's probably the first time I think really it happened at a ground. Yeah, and actually the setup there, I was quite impressed with the setup there. Certainly the outside area was really, really good. And yeah, all in all, I mean, for us, it was a great day. I mean, I was lucky because I wasn't even going to go to the game. No. There was only a lad from Oxford who was posted saying anybody from the area going because he didn't want to go on his own. So that's the reason I went to the game. Late decision, and yeah, I'm so glad that I did. So yeah, it was great, cracking day. Met some nice people. Had a good crack. Saw some goals. Sending off. Oh, that's a surprise. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Just one thing I just wanted to quickly add on that, Fifey.
Just
when I came into the ground, what Nick just said there about people recognising us from the pod. Literally, as soon as I came into the ground, I was trying to find my mate. He was on the complete other side from where you guys were. And then the first thing I was, some random person, no idea who it was. He says, "The Falls are up there, Rich." I was like,
"Yeah." It might have something to do with the fact that we saw you walk in and go, "Rich, Rich."
No, because you guys were right up in the rafters, and this was just when I came down. I was like, "Oh," they're like, "Yeah, the Falls are all up there, Rich." I was like, "Oh, cheers."
Yeah,
for that.
I remember it turned into a bit of a game of Tetris because we then saw Gav and John and Luke and you came up as well. We were just trying to squeeze everyone into this one little section of stands.
Yeah, mental.
Craig, you've been remarkably reserved so far in the review. So shall I give you November because this seems right up your street?
The only reason I've been remarkably quiet is that I'm letting everyone have their say, and some have had it twice, and now I know why. So yeah,
3 games.
November now.
3 games played. Get absolutely destroyed 4-0 by Stockport in the FA Cup, ruining the chance of another game against Man City. Then drawing 1-1 with Tranmere before losing 1-0 to Crewe.
Well, this is where it all started to go wrong. Because I think we were all saying early on in the season when we were getting the draws in, most of us were saying, look, we'll give Lindsay until the end of October and see how he was getting on. And October was the best month for us this whole season, pretty much. So it looked like, things were promising. But to have that, I didn't go to the Mansfield game, but to go to Stockport and then just get absolutely smashed by them after the Mansfield game was just so disappointing. Not just because of going out of the cup, but it just felt like we were building some momentum. And then, to get beaten and the way we did was worrying, to be honest, after such a good performance against Mansfield. Yeah, we did look a bit vulnerable defensively, even against Mansfield, but we were saying at the time it was about, as long as we score more than the opposition, we should be all right. But obviously we didn't even get a goal against Stockport, and then of course we drew 1 each against Tranmere. That was a poor game as well, just a really boring game, which they just shithoused and game managed better than what we did. And then I watched the Crewe game because that was the blackout had been lifted, hadn't it? Because it was the World Cup, I think. Yeah. I think that game. Yeah. And that they went down to 10 men, didn't they? And again, shithoused a 1-0 victory. It was just one of those games where you could just tell the vulnerability of the team mentally and experience wise. Our game management was poor. We didn't know how to break teams down, and it was worrying, really. And it was just a shitty month, to be fair. Hence why you've given it to me to comment on. But yeah, I think that was when we were starting to, and a lot more people were getting more vocal about Lindsay as well. And
well, it's around this time that Ben just completely flips.
Yeah, exactly. And questions were starting to be asked about Sandro, even though I was asking those questions back in September. But there you go.
I like to know it all.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I did know it all, so there we go. But yeah, so that's when we started to see it unravel. It hadn't unraveled completely at that point, but I think that was the pivotal moment in our season where it looked like things were going wrong, and it was a slippery slope after that.
Well, we move into the festive period where we get iconic pictures like a team huddle with Rocky, Robin, and Santa, all involved, and we. Now, I can't recall if this is the one, but we start the month losing 2-0 to Crawley. That wasn't our first watch along, was it? Was Crawley the first one?
No, I swear the first one was
not Stevenage, Sutton.
Sutton was.
Sutton.
Yeah.
Crawley, I just remember everyone being very angry.
Yeah. It was a proper shithouse performance from Crawley. I mean, their striker, the former Oxford one, running down the length of the Don Rogers, giving it the big 1-0, then rolling about on the floor off the pitch, then rolling on the pitch so the referee would stop the game. And I think there was one moment as well where one of our players just underarmed the ball to take a quick throw in to one of their players, and he went down like he was been shot in the belly. And then he started doing like a couple of rolls, and he just started laughing whilst he was on the floor, and his teammates were laughing, and everyone knew what they're up to, apart from the referee. And it was just, it was a proper shithouse performance. I remember Liam was laughing his bollocks off because obviously they get the League Two are getting their own back on McCurdy. But yeah, it was just infuriating. But what can you do?
That was the game that me and Joe were at, and we sent a video message after the game. We were just like, there was one word to describe that game, and that was shit. Yeah, it was so bad. I think it was the game where Khan went down like in the last minute. He collided with the post. And there was like 10 minutes added on, and we were 2-0 down at this point, and we were just like, fucking end the game. Literally, it was a horrible day. Weather was shite as well. The best part about that game was the fucking pizza before the game. The oven baked pizza. Beautiful, right? But
the month continued towards Christmas with draws at home to Wimbledon, defeat away at Barrow. And then the Boxing Day game came, and we were at home on Boxing Day. Jack, you must have gone Boxing Day. Walsall at home?
I didn't go Walsall home. I was at my dad's.
Oh, sorry, mate.
I know it was very bad, though.
Yeah, I again, a 2-1 defeat.
You don't need to apologise. You got beat 2-1 by Walsall at home. I think it's quite good that you missed it.
Anyone want to jump in on the Boxing Day festivities?
Yeah, it was
2-1?
shit. It was shit. They came with a game plan and it worked. The only surprise about it was Ian Dollo scored, but we didn't play very well. They didn't play very well.
Ben, please, Ben, I beg. Ian Dollo, I beg.
Anyway, we did
His
get
name
a goal.
isn't Ian Dollo.
Ellis got a goal, and it was the only surprise. But yeah, no, it was largely uninspiring, very placid, dull game. Sarah went and was bored and cold, and they nicked it at the end. And it was predictable. I remember it happening actually because Fraser Tracy got injured and he was being treated at the time, and they were trying to get him back on for the last corner, which they scored in the 95th minute. And the referee wasn't having it; he was keeping off. And the goal itself was just shockingly bad. The corner itself was just awful, and it was predictable. And I was the game. I was sat in the articles watching it, and I could see the bench, and just every single one of them just went, "For fuck's sake!" And you couldn't see it was happening. And like it was a sign of things to come.
Craig, if you think I did you dirty giving you November, Ben's just talked about a really shit Boxing Day game. The one that followed was a really good day out. It was Fools away again, wasn't it? Northampton.
Oh, I'm glad you've given me this one, Fifey. Thank you. I mean, this, obviously it wasn't a brilliant performance, but it was a good result, good performance. We deserved the win. I felt on the day and everything. And it was just great, meeting up with you guys and everything. I took my eldest too. They love going to away games, and they enjoyed it, even though I spent most of my time talking to you guys and everything and basically ignoring them. But they felt part of it. We're all part of the Fools family.
We went bowling with the Archers as well.
Yeah, exactly. I got to meet, Joe and Mark in person for the first time, which was really cool as well.
Are we still waiting for Woody to do that backflip?
We are still waiting for Woody to do that backflip, yeah.
But
you just missed it. You just missed it.
But I think that result and that performance just papered over the cracks for that month, you sort of, even me, the most cynical person as we know, was thinking, maybe we can turn this around. Maybe if we can get back-to-back wins and a few results together, we could, we might have a chance here. And not for the first time this season, we were fucking wrong, weren't we? But I just want to say that was probably about the fourth or fifth game that I'd been where we were all together this season, and it was just really good that the bond that we've got as a team, as a pod, as friends, and as football supporters. I really felt that after that game. I mean, I've always sort of felt that anyway. Like going up to Bradford, like Woz has said, me, him, and Woody in the car. It was it was really good considering we don't all know each other too well, but we just all get along like a house on fire when we meet up. And after that Northampton game, that was pretty special for me and I think for us as a pod. So yeah, really enjoyed that. Obviously, a win helps. If we'd have got beat, it might have been a different story. But yeah, that just goes to show how far we've come together as a pod. That away trip, and obviously, hopefully, many more to come.
And the chips at Five Guys. No,
so many chips.
Yeah.
Craig, did you get any chips in the end, mate?
Craig, did you get any chips?
Not sure that...
I got my share. I didn't steal any this time though.
Didn't steal any, right. Yeah.
So many chips at Northampton. It was a great way to end 2022. What it wasn't, Woody, was a great way to start 2023. A 1-0 defeat away at Colchester. And if ever there was a game where everyone said we're losing this game, it was Colchester away on New Year's Day, wasn't it?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Right. It was, I think, as Craig said, after the Northampton game, even though I wasn't a Lindsay out person, even I was starting to kind of think, oh, should we be asking questions? But really, I knew where the problem was all along. But it's I was just glad I didn't travel because I just remembered discussing it. I think at Northampton as well with a couple of you guys and going, oh, I might go. I might make that last minute decision to go, and I'm so fucking glad I didn't. The best thing about that game, to be honest, was Ben Gladwin afterwards. Was probably the most. Yeah, probably the most, I want to say, refreshing interview that we've had from a player this season.
Open and honest.
Yeah. And then
so we sold him.
So we sold him, yeah. And then that was it. See you later.
He did that interview and Ben drove him to Crawley.
He showed how much he cared, didn't he? How much he cared.
We don't tolerate that here.
Everything, didn't he? That's and he went way up in my estimation after that interview.
He went way down in Sandro's spreadsheet.
Just not everyone else's. They still hated Gladwin.
Yeah, Ben just kept the engine turned off for a little bit longer after that.
Everyone will remember what came after that, though, and it was a certain young man's return. It was Swindon Town 5, Grimsby 0, which, despite everything else, will firmly be remembered, Nick, for this moment.
Yeah, I mean that was never seen anything like that hit a game. I mean it does actually show how hard a player hits the ball.
For those listening to audio only, I've just flashed up a picture of the referee just knocked out in the middle of the pitch.
He's having a bit of a sleep, isn't he?
Yeah, because initially the crowd were giving it large because the ref's on the floor, and then everybody suddenly realised, oh shit, man, he ain't very good here. This is a bit serious.
If I remember rightly, was that Brennan's main highlight moment?
Yeah.
Was it Brennan? I can't remember.
I'm sure it was Brennan.
He's not been mentioned until now, and he gets injured for the rest of the season a bit.
But
Woody is in bits.
I'm just trying to record a conversation with Nedra, and I'm
oh yeah, you were very sympathetic, weren't you? Yeah. Of course you were.
Cancelled.
Oh, he's showing faint signs of life.
Oh dear me!
But yeah, I mean,
sorry, Nick, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, really, what the hell's happened? As I say, it just shows how how powerful footballers are. I mean, the guy was knocked into next week, wasn't he? It was like, yeah, it was crazy.
Woody's had to turn his screen off. Was still laughing?
I mean, there's nothing else to say now, is it? I mean, he's just totally floored out, floored. So,
referee aside, Ned, it was a great end result, wasn't it? I mean, the red card obviously helped.
Oh, I mean, this was the match when I fell in love, wasn't it? So it was it was very memorable for that. Old Charlie Charles getting his wonderful goals. Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. It was the lift that we all needed and wanted. But then, as we are all fully aware, it all turned to shit after that, didn't it?
We've had so many false starts, haven't we, this season?
This conversation tells you how many false starts we've had, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh dear.
I mean, this could have been the catalyst for a wonderful running, couldn't it? But literally couldn't have gone any worse. Looking at all the scores there.
Well, obviously this was gunning ball time now, because Lindsay had departed and gone to Crawley. We then got a free draw with Gillingham.
Oh, Fifey, can I come in there with where I was sitting in the Arcles was right in the press box right behind us, right, and the Gillingham press men were sat above us, and we scored like, I think it is in the first few seconds, wasn't it, if I remember rightly?
Yeah.
Me and Dan, we turned round to them in the press box going, yes. And then it is like bang, 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 and we're going, oh, why the fucking hell did we say that? Why did we say it? Then it was like, yes, we're 2. Then it was yes, we're 3. And then at the end, it was like, come on. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, never celebrate a goal that early, because it doesn't do you any good. But yeah, it was funny, and they was having the crack as well. So they were quite good lads in there. But yeah, that first minute was, don't ever do that again.
And the month concluded on deadline day, on a month where McDonald disappeared, Gladwin disappeared, Reed disappeared, and Jody Morris turned up after long protracted conversations, and the likes of myself and Woody, we were like, yes, this is it now, isn't it? This is where the season begins.
No. Yeah, I was the same. I thought it was a cracking appointment by the football club, to be perfectly honest. I thought a coach with his sort of pedigree, his contacts, his, an idea of maybe a philosophy on how he wanted us to play in a proper way of doing it. I was just as excited as you two. I thought it was going to work out. I thought it was I thought it was a great thing, and I thought it was going to really kick us on. I think when he came in, I think we all agreed that the least we were going to get is the playoffs. I think we all said that, and we all agreed that we were going to properly.
Craig's probably going to put his hand up here and say, "No, I knew better."
Yeah. Bar Craig, maybe. Yeah, but on the flip side of that, the concern was, like you just said, that we lost McDonald and we lost Gladwin in the same window. And I've said this loads of times, that was our captain and vice captain, which was a massive concern. And then we didn't replace them either.
We couldn't even get a Spurs kid over the line.
Yeah. No, that was massive. You know what I mean? And we ended up getting a lad from Bristol City, Kaji, last minute, which wasn't really that exciting. And it was just chucking it all in the youngsters' court. But I think we all sort of forgave that, because we thought, oh, Morris, he's worked with kids before, he's worked with youngsters. Could he work his magic on this lot? And as much as a lot of people dislike the way that Morris went about things, I don't think you could have given anyone that group of players that we had from January and could have worked any magic with them at all. I thought the player, and this all goes back to Sandro's door or to the powers above that didn't want to put their hand in their pocket at that time when we really needed it, because when you lose someone like McDonald and Gladwin in the same window, you need to be able to replace them, and we didn't. And that, for me, that was the detriment, because I thought we were still in with a massive chance in January. I thought,
of course we were.
Yeah, we were still well in the picture. We brought Charlie through the door, so everyone was riding the crest of the wave, but we just didn't bring any more experience through the door, and it just completely faltered, and our season come to a halt.
You know whose fault it was the season fell apart? It was Sam Parkin.
That's right.
Because on Talk of the Town, he had Ben Gladwin on, he had Angus MacDonald on, and he had Brand on. And what happened? They all went. So it was all down to Sam Parkin. So just blame Sam.
Just blame Sam. Just blame the club legend. He was another one that went in Feb, apparently.
Oh, Fifey, just a comment while it was in my head, going back to boxing down the Walsall thing. A certain Michael Flynn was in the opposition dugout, everyone.
He
so,
was indeed.
You know what I mean? There is someone who can come up with a game plan and actually implement it. So, you know what I mean? It could be all positive.
Apart from last season when we smashed him 5, we've always come up shit against Michael Flynn's teams.
Yeah.
He's always been hard to beat.
I know this is for another episode, but yeah.
Rich, just before we move into February, Wazza made a great point, is that we all did feel, at least in the league, if not with the squad by the end of deadline day, there was still a real opportunity. And it's a testament to, considering our relatively bad form.
Bye, Jack.
Yeah, yes, Jack. Sorry, not Jack. Considering our inconsistent form, should we say, it showed how the league was in general, that we were still very much feeling we were in the picture.
Yeah, and I think we touched on this a couple of pods back, that we felt as if that it didn't really reflect because there were so many games in hand. And I think there was one game in January where I think everybody was like pumped up for, because I think we sold out the allocation like we usually do away to Walsall, which obviously got called off due to
frozen pitch, wasn't it?
Frozen pitch, that was it. Yeah, it was a frozen pitch, wasn't it?
Conveniently, it was okay a couple of days later for the cup game, if you remember rightly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and just from there, it was just an absolute. It was a massive shame, that game, because I think I know we were still under Gav Gunning at that point, but I still think we had like real momentum going into that game, especially coming off the back of a 5-0 win. And then we had to wait 2 weeks to play Gillingham at home again, which obviously was another thriller. But yeah, no, going back to your question, the table just didn't really reflect. There were so many games being called off. We had such bad weather in January, like games all over the league were getting called off, and there was still a lot of teams playing catch up. So, you know, it did sort of put us in a false position. Obviously, we've got to be on those points to be in that position in the first place, of course. But I think a lot of luck did ride on that. And if you had looked at our results going up to that point and you looked at the table, you're thinking, what?
Yeah.
How it was almost as if like that Little Britain like sort of says, like, how'd you get up there? I fell. You know, it was it just didn't make any sense to me. Just didn't make any sense.
Let's not make any mistakes as well. Let's not make any mistakes. This league is absolute dog shit.
No, of course, absolutely.
It's the worst
100%.
League Two I've ever seen. And Stockport weren't firing at this point, were they? They were right.
No, they were down at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, they just started results at this time. Yeah,
I mean, the way we've played, you know, to end up where we did is, you know, it's false. Yeah, it's false. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Well,
Woody doesn't agree with it being a false position, though, is it? Woody?
No, and understandably so. Go on, Woody.
No, I don't, because when we said they were in a false position, the teams around us caught up, and we were actually higher in the league. So, it's, I don't agree with the terminology of false position, to be honest. But...
So the calendar turns again, Ned, and we go into February and the much anticipated first game of Jody Morris's reign. A 2-1 defeat at Newport with something of a controversial red card.
Fuck's sake.
Hepburn Murphy.
I wouldn't say it was controversial.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I said it was a definite red.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
it's definite red. Stupid idiot.
Incredibly unfortunate, I think. I mean, you know, he just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, didn't he? I don't know. If I'm remembering the right sending off,
It's the one where Hepburn Murphy got put about 10 foot up in the air, and then he reacted and he got sent off.
That's it. No, I'm thinking of a different sending off. Sorry, my apologies. I'm thinking about the one when someone got sent off in the first couple of minutes, but that's a completely different one.
Wakelin.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Wakelin's red card for poor defending.
Yeah, I mean, that refereeing performance was awful from what I remember. You know, he was being hacked down and all sorts, and they didn't seem to be getting any fouls, any yellow cards or anything. It's just like, you know, as you saw from the photograph after the game, you know, the damage that bloke did to him, you know, I think most people would get up and be like, what the fuck are you doing? But yeah, I poor discipline, you know, at the end of the day, but I still think he's a touch unfortunate, because if he was more protected by the referee, that wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have been, you know, they wouldn't have been making those challenges still, because there would be players on, you know, a lot of yellow cards leading up to it. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm in two minds about that one still. But regardless, you know, it's, you know, the start of Jody Morris's reign. You think, oh my God. You know, he's just give him another game. Let's give him another game. You know, let's give him another game. And it's just like, where are these bloody points coming from?
I think whenever you get a new manager, you expect that honeymoon period, and obviously we just did not get it. In fact, we got the complete opposite of a honeymoon period.
We got a nightmare period.
He had the equivalent of my honeymoon, which was a trip to the National War Museum. So,
interesting choice.
Oh, no, it was what we could afford at the time after an incredibly expensive wedding. But yeah,
whatever floats your boat, Ned.
She didn't want to go, but I was like, it was in the vicinity. Why not?
AC says Clem Funi, Sandro, and any other characters in the background running the club fuck this season for us. They should shoulder most of the blame. Cowboy setup at the club. Jody Morris's reign then didn't get any better. A 2-0 defeat at home to Doncaster followed the first watch along on Valentine's Day, Sutton United away, and a goal which had me and Ben having one of our O2 familiar arguments where we have a completely different outlook. Ben saying Solbrin was fouled, me saying Solbrin needed to be braver and actually do his job.
Both of those statements are correct.
Yeah,
Nick is being Switzerland on this debate.
They are. He was fouled, but he should have clattered the person.
It was definitely a foul.
Yeah,
100%. Categorically, you see
that's
them
where he was weak.
You see them given 99 times out of 100, and it was absolutely disgusting that it wasn't given as a foul. I'm sorry.
Woody, I think Ben's pointed at you.
I wish you were at the watch along, was I? I wish you were there.
I can't believe that it wasn't given.
I was using Jack as my demonstration. I had him stood there.
Ben did his infamous VAR.
Then we completely crumbled, didn't we? Just let him fall. No, we're not going to draw the game. Let's just lose it.
Snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
I remember poor Nick doing, because we all take our times, taking our turns in the commentary, and we're all 1-0 up. The last 10 minutes are turning a bit sour as they were battering us, and Nick had the last 5 minutes. And luckily, he'd just taken over Fifey, because I don't know what would have happened if Fifey was commentating those last 5 minutes.
Well, I was reacting, wasn't I?
Throwing stuff all over the place and shouting. It was
Craig had to take over hosting duties because I was so angry.
Yeah.
You'd have had 10 minutes of the high-pitched Fifey voice that we're all familiar with.
That was the one where he said that was an exquisite touch.
And then I set off a Fifey bomb going, well, for 80 minutes, it wasn't that bad.
Oh, my God.
I was just surprised, Fifey, that when you said exquisite touch, you was talking about a Swindon player. So...
Fortunes changed with victory away at Salford. Now, Woody, if I remember this game correctly, is this the one we won 2-1 despite only having one shot on target?
Yes.
And everyone was saying what a great performance it was, and I kept trying to point out we had one shot on target.
Woody, you must remember this game because your golden boy scored. You must remember this game.
Probably.
Miscontrolled it.
Yeah, because
fucking miscontrolled it. And by the way, it wasn't a foul on Solbrin. Who was it against? Do you know what? All the way through this fucking episode, I've had every fixture up on my phone. The one time I fucking go off it, and you decide to come to me to ask me about the game.
Salford 1, Swindon 2.
Wakeland scored that worldy flick. And
what do they call it?
Oh, the one that he absolutely did not mean at all.
Scorpion kick.
100%.
That's it. Scorpion. He's sort of gone up 100%. One leg and
yeah.
I was going to reenact it then, but I thought the camera ain't big enough. I was thinking,
I would reenact it, but I'm in my boxes. But now I remember the game. Yeah, I remember the flick. And then it was an own goal, wasn't it, the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, we said all along, like, don't get me wrong, it's a bit of an uninspiring performance, but we said all along that we really don't give a shit how we win games in this league as long as we fucking win them. So if we do that next season and only have 5 shots a game and score 3 and the opposition don't score any, then I don't care.
Bang on.
I remember this game because I didn't actually go to this game. I was watching it on iFollow, but I was having issues getting iFollow up, and I still hadn't logged into it at this point. But my mate had, and he was messaging me, and he says, "Rich, have you bought the game yet?" And I says, No, but I'm in the process of doing it. And he says, "Rich, don't buy it," because this was like 5 minutes in at this point, and we were already 1-0 down.
I have to say, lads, I'm very impressed in the restraint in none of you making a joke when Rich said he was having issues getting it up. I'm very, very impressed.
We thought it'd be too young to understand it.
Well, while you're in the spirit of commenting, I believe you were at the next one. As we move into March, a 1-1 draw away at Leyton Orient.
Oh God, yeah, no, I do remember. Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah,
Rich had the hump that day.
Yeah, I remember. I was
point away at the league, which was well pissed off.
It is true. This is fact. I was pissed off because I felt we should have probably won that game.
Oh, that's right. We never went for it. We could have won the game, and we sat back. We didn't even try.
Yeah, because obviously Wakeland got the equaliser on 70-odd minutes, and then we were at that point we could have just absolutely flown that game. And we didn't do it. We, like you say, we just sat back, and I was just like, our fans were celebrating. I'm thinking, you're celebrating a 1-1 draw for fuck's sake. I know it's against top of the league, but we could have won that fucking game.
Yeah, I remember you being very angry.
I had somebody in front. I had some person in front of me is like, why? I mean, why are you so upset for? Why are you so angry? I was like, because we could have fucking won that game, and we didn't. We just sat back and we drew the damn game. Like, I get it's top of the league, but we've said this all season long. Like, no team is not unbeatable in this league. We can beat any team we want in this league if we really go for it, and we didn't go for it. And that was a game that we needed to win to stand any chance of the playoffs.
I love how angry he still is about it.
Probably one of the best bits from there was the pie, mash, and liquor.
Oh,
that was good.
No. The food at the restaurant that I found after the game was absolutely banging. So,
well, what followed the 1-1 draw was the Fools Rush In match sponsor game at home to Carlisle. What a day that was for us all. Woody still doesn't remember half of it. It went long into the night, didn't it, Craig and Wazza?
I was double parked on that table from 12 o'clock.
Well, you were. Yeah.
I was just like, this day is not going to go well.
The last thing I remember was it dragging us to the new Cali Arms in Womburrow.
I didn't drive, Rich. Just to get it out there.
We know.
I was in no fit state to drive.
But we were like, why the hell are we going to Womburrow for? And then next minute we see Wazza just going behind the bar, started pouring pints. And then I bump into all the parents that I coach their kids. And I was just like, shit, I'm gonna get absolutely.
We went up there because
what ripped in the next morning.
And then we got to the pub and then Joe's brother wasn't there.
Rammed.
What I liked about it was that Wazza said, yeah, let's go to the new Cali
And then he pissed off.
We were there for an hour and then he fucked off.
I did say that I was going to a surprise party after, and the wife was
it was a surprise to everyone else that you went to the party.
And then Joe and all his family just turned up to I don't know what the hell happened.
You went back to the tourney anyway, didn't you?
Yeah, I'd gone home. I didn't go to Womburrow, and then I get a call to come back out for the second round. I was like, okay, lads. Woody thought I was there for about 10 minutes. I was there for about 2 hours.
It was a good day, though, wasn't it? It was
cracking day.
I'll always give the club credit where it's due. That if you do hospitality, forget about the prawn sandwich brigade and all that. Do it once. Do the hospitality or sponsorship.
Or whatever. Get a season ticket in there like Wazza does.
Yeah. Because it is one thing that this club, I don't know if the club's always been this good since Clem and Rob have taken over, but fair play. It was really good. And the staff.
That lamb shank.
The staff works their socks off to provide
it was good.
Really good.
And a great afternoon for you, Nick, as well.
Oh, mate, that was my highlight of like how everybody was supporting town.
What happened?
And he bloody organised it.
Well, I'm fine for organising.
There's a lovely photo of Nick. You looking at the Don like a 15-year-old.
Absolutely. Yeah,
you're all gooey-eyed looking.
Took me all back to Wembley '69 when I was 15. It was magic, mate. You got it nothing
wrong.
Got top that.
It was Don looking at Nick like that. You got it wrong.
Thinking, who the fuck are you?
Well, Nick, let's stick with you for a bit, because what followed that defeat, which was the latest in a spell of.
Sorry, Fifey.
Go on,
I do remember something from that game. I remember saying, "Shit, Edmonton's coming on," and I goes, "He's bound to score against us." And wasn't going, "Nah, Edmonton's shit."
I think it's also worth remembering Rich turning round before the game and saying to Rob Angus, "Hi Rob, nice to see you. Why are we shit?"
Yes. I do not even remember that.
Nick, Clem said to Nick that we'd 1-0, and then he said we won't because our defence is shit.
Yeah, so we'll concede because we're shit defence.
Also, sitting in the posh padder seats and getting wet, I was fuming.
I had a 10-minute rant about Ryan Edmondson, and then he scored the winner.
Oh, Nick, let's carry on. Let's get through March. So a 0-0 draw away at Walsall was followed by an absolute carnage 4-4 draw with Rochdale.
Yeah, that was just infamous 85th minute plus game again. I mean, Charlie must have come off of that being so pissed off. You score 4 goals in a game. You score 2 goals away and you expect to win. 3, of course you won. 4, not a problem. But and the worst of it was they had 2 better chances after they got the 4th, which they could have won it.
Yeah,
and they should have won it. And I think probably that game probably summed up our season, our performances on. Just how easy we could score when we put our mind to it and actually did the right things, and just how bad defensively we were from corners. In every time a corner's taken, there's another goal coming. You knew it was going to happen. That was the worst thing. You knew it was happening, because I was actually travelling back from my daughter's from Aylesbury, and did we go 2-0 up? I think we went 2-0 up, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
What game was this?
Rochdale away.
Yes, we did. Yeah, 2-0.
Yeah,
and I was driving back, and I'm going, yes. And my missus said, "Don't get carried away. You know what they're like." And then it was like 2-2. Oh God! And it just.
No, it was 3-2 down.
Took the dog out and come back, and it's like, yeah, great. We're winning 4. I think was we winning 4-3?
Yeah,
and then,
4-3.
And then great. Yeah, we're there. We've got it. And it's like, oh Jesus, I can't believe it. Yeah.
Well,
sums up the season, I'm afraid.
4-4, and they could have won it.
Yeah, should have done it.
I remember being at Bassett. I was watching Bassett, and it was just like, Charlie Austin scored after like 2 minutes, and then Charlie Austin scored again at 14. I was like, we're gonna win this. We're actually gonna win it. And then I think it got to 3-2, and I went, we're probably gonna draw this 4-4 now. And then it was just like somebody. I think I saw it at 4-3 maybe, and then I thought, that's game over. And then somebody said to me, "Do you know Swindon drew 4-4?" And I was like, for fuck's sake! Like, if I could ever predict something stupid to happen, it was always going to happen, wasn't it?
Well, the month concluded with another defeat to Stockport before the busiest month in the history of Swindon Town came in April. I'm going to rattle through these games and just interrupt if you want to say anything specific. So we lost 2-1 away at Hartlepool.
Shit.
Before losing 4-2 at home to Mansfield. Now, I do remember this one. This was the bank holiday weekend where we'd said we were going to do the live thing after the kick. And I went, and I was so angry, I went to the cinema first and had to delay the start of our show because I just couldn't face it. The bank holiday weekend resumed with a 1-0 defeat away at Tranmere.
Shit. That was shit. I was at that game.
That followed up with Swindon 0, Barrow 0.
Can I just say, Fifey, when we drew 0-0 against Barrow, because it came on the back of 4 defeats on the bounce?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Don't say you were positive, Craig.
No, but some of our fans were celebrating that. Like
I remember that. I remember.
Yeah, we got a result. Oh, yeah, be positive and all this and everything. Oh, fuck off. It's 0-0 against Barrow.
Is this the game, Ben, remind me, where Barrow still had a chance to playoffs and everyone came away saying, we don't know why they attack us?
Yeah, they did nothing.
I watched the game, and Barrow we were in awful form, and then Barrow who edged the playoffs, just didn't play to win. They played for a dull 0-0 draw. It was a game that we were less dreadful than normal. It wasn't shit. I think my summary of the game was not shit, but it wasn't particularly good either. Barrow was shit. We were pretty average. That was it. Okay, but if there was going to team, we were trying to win, and Barrow won. So that's why.
I think this was the latest one of mine and your arguments, because you kept telling me how much we were trying to win, and I think I pointed out that we had 2 shots on goal in the whole game, and one of those was in the 92nd minute.
Yeah, but we were still trying to win the game, and Barrow won.
You two, let's not rake over old ground. We've only got so much time.
We've got all night. We've got all night, and we've still got plenty to do yet. The month continued. Swindon beat Bradford.
Not shit.
Before absolutely demolishing Wimbledon. 5-1.
Yeah. We're going up, lads.
And then Stevenage all but secure promotion with a 1-0 win at the county ground, which had that incredible video of Matt Farley the day after fucking giving it some.
Absolutely loving life. Fair play. I've still got that on my phone.
If there was anybody I was happy for, Stevenage, it was Matt. It was Matt from the Stevenage pod, because he was
show Jack. That's what promotion feels like, because he's never felt it before. That's what it looks like.
And I'm looking forward to a unanimous review of Crew 2 Swindon 1.
Oh,
shit.
Not even remember
that last 10 minutes was just
such a Swindon.
Just in the last 15 games of the season, like Nick said earlier, I didn't realise that we'd actually were winning games up until the 80th minute, and we found a way to actually lose.
Yeah.
That's mad, isn't it?
We would have made the playoffs if we'd seen them
We
out.
would have sailed into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Is that scary?
In fact, we probably could have been in third position.
But 19 points we lost with late goals from the 85th minute plus.
And what did we finish on? 61 points.
That puts you in fourth place if you take them
Fourth
away.
place, yeah.
I know it's all ifs and buts, but it's just so.
It might have even been higher because obviously it would have been against teams that were above us. So.
Yeah, Nick, it's absolute facts, mate. Honestly, you're absolutely bang on the money. It's yeah.
The season concluded for Swindon Town not that long ago now, for 2-1 win at home to Crawley, which saw which saw the introduction of our new manager and
Lord Saviour.
The saviour.
Benning.
The sign of things to come. I'm going to ask you all now, and I will go round for a no more, Ben, than 3-word review of the entire season. Rich, you can go first.
Put me on the spot.
That's it. That's your free.
Boring.
On the spot.
On the spot. Boring. Exciting. Then shit.
Okay.
In that order, because it was boring to start with, then it got a little bit exciting, and then it just ended up completely shit.
Okay, Ned.
Disappointing, lackluster, and shit.
Very fine. Ben.
Really fucking shit.
Craig.
Not good enough.
Lovely. Let's go next to Nick.
4 decent games.
Nice. Wazza?
Spreadsheet doesn't work.
Nice.
We've got one in the comments here from Nights and King, which I'll just bring up on the screen. Says snooze fest, snooze fest, snooze fest. Woody?
Sandra Day McKay. Shit.
Just before we move on, there is 2 other things we should just discuss. And again, I'll let whoever wants to jump in on it. Largely, I would say, if you actually think back to everything, 85 to 90% of the off-field madness this season has been a complete PR fucking disaster for the club. There's hardly any good, particularly in the men's team I'm talking about here, hardly any good. And every time, even today, cancelling the fans forum on 2 days' notice is just a fucking shambles, isn't it?
Just not good enough. Like Craig said, just not good enough.
Well, it's the thing is, right, we say about PR, right? A club at League Two, we can't afford to hire a PR expert, but it's not that fucking difficult. Just don't fucking keep standing on fucking landmines every fucking time when you're posting something on social media. You know, it's almost every single month the club seem to do something to shoot ourselves in the foot. And we're becoming a fucking joke, you know, and it's just. And the thing, and also another thing. Sorry, Fifey.
No, it's all right. I was just trying to think of all the different things, and the only one that keeps coming back into my head was the under-16s. Just seemed to kick everything off.
There was the under-16s. There was the graduate job that was only paying 18k a year, begging people to deliver lunches. There was the social media job, which was a voluntary job, but it needed all these qualifications and your own equipment and stuff like that. If the club had got away with it, they would have charged a lot more for season tickets this season. The trust made that clear. You know, the club wanted to. So that's only because of the trust that the club didn't fucking raise them to the same levels as what Warsaw and other teams have done this season. But I digress. I bloody lost my train of thought there now. But yeah, it just has. It's not difficult to do the PR correctly. You know what I mean? You just don't fuck up. It's as simple as that. Everything that's happened off the pitch could have been avoided this season. But yeah, and it's a shame after the first season where everything was so good.
Yeah,
but I guess it goes back to that. If you're doing well on the pitch, people don't tend to mind as much. But the two go hand in hand at the end of the day.
No, 100%. Woody, on the other side of the coin, something that we've done since we started, but that we've really tried to up, I think, a bit this year is what we've managed to cover with Swindon Town women. Again, I've stolen a couple of Claire's pictures here as well from the season, and it's been an interesting season again on and off the pitch for the women's sides, as you know as well as anybody, obviously. But overall, how do you think those involved will look at the situation? Because even like going back to the previous topic, even the relieving of duties of the previous coaches, everyone was just like, why now?
Yeah, and I think I think the problem was the way that now we've had a couple of months down the line, maybe it might have made sense when they let them go potentially. It was more around kind of the PR disaster of, like we said, they're asking for volunteers 1 second and then firing them the next. It was, and regardless of what a lot of people say, this is one of the best in terms of performance and results. It was one of the best seasons that Swindon Town women have had. So it was always kind of a bit of a, I guess, a bit of a difficult one to take, really, if you follow Swindon and players in there as well as I do and things like that. So, but, as Chiarna's just said, Chiarna's still very much involved in the club, is still in the club. And she said there's exciting futures. Now, the one thing that I have said, and I've been vocal to a few Swindon connections in that and said, it looks like a fucking shit show from the external at the moment. Like, regardless of how you look at it, the stuff that's coming out of the women's setup, whether it's true, whether it's false, the way of letting players go, the way of inviting them back, the expectations of players, and things like that. All the stuff that's coming out is making them look like a fucking laughing stock. And I think the common misconception is people think I'm saying that to be bitter. I'm not. I'm saying what everybody else is fucking seeing happening, and so they, I hope what Chiarna said earlier is right. There is exciting times to happen. I'm having spoke to people within the club now since things like Mike Cook's announcement and stuff like that. It does sound like there could be some good things happening. It still sounds like there's a lot of wrong things happening, in my opinion. But that's just by the way I would run a football club. But yeah, it's but it speaks for the club as a whole. I think even you guys saw my rant when they announced Mike Cook. Again, I had not really a massive issue with the Mike Cook appointment. It was kind of the over glorification of behind it in terms of what he had been involved with, the fabrication of what he had been involved with, and stuff like that. So, and the worst thing about that part was it wasn't fabrication's the wrong word. It wasn't fabrication on purpose to make it. It was just general lack of knowledge from the people running the social media and running the club within, and that's not. I don't want to disrespect them in any way, but that is what it was. Anybody who's involved in the women's football in the area knows that they don't have Swindon have never had a girls' academy. So, that terminology is a fine thing. So yeah, it was, but hopefully, like Chiarna said, if it gets better, it gets better.
Yeah, Woody, I'm just gonna dive on something that you've just said there in terms of the sort of the knowledge of things, because obviously you've got brought a manager in that's never had any proper senior women's involvement in football or anything like that. Doesn't really know anything about the women's game. Okay, he's got a pro license, right? But the women's game and the men's game is completely different. You've got apparently a director of football come in who doesn't really know anything. She doesn't really know anything about the women's game as well. Like, her kids, who are daughters, play football. Okay, so does that make you,
Well, apparently, Rich,
kind of person?
well, apparently she's a sponsor and her kid plays football. So by that means, I should be a director of football as well. You know, because I've got the same qualifications. But you're right, and it's surprising that because this sounds like this was Rob Angus's decision on the women's side. It's surprising that Rob Angus has appointed a director of football who's got no qualifications, no experience in football. But this was exactly what had happened with Sandro Di Michele, and we all know how that turned out in the end. So yeah, it's things like that get my back up with the club and the whole PR side.
Yeah, and it's like the rumours that went round about Tom Hartley. We all discussed, and Chiarna said, I was speaking to the director of football. He was there on Saturday. That was Tom Hartley. But then Tom Hartley's not mentioned anywhere. Swindon's not on his LinkedIn anymore. So it's almost like the people inside the club don't know what's really going on. Because I know Mandy, her name is Mandy, isn't it? Mandy was there as well, I'm pretty sure, on Saturday. And Tom, so it just, I don't know. It's almost like there's the lack of transparency from both sides, from the men's side and the women's side, is creeping back in. You know, we hear all these rumours, even the ones that CK's put up and stuff like that. We hear all of this stuff. I know there's conspiracy theorists out there, but these kind of things don't just bubble up anymore. And it's almost to the point now where you look at a rumour and you go, well, that wouldn't surprise me. Do you know what I mean? And that's a really sad state of affairs for our club is, you know, and I said the same, AC, you know, like, to be fair, what you said there about Rob Angus making footballing appointments, yet Rob Angus is the first one to say, I don't get involved with the football side. I'm sorry, but the women's team is the football side. So why is he making those decisions?
I question the way that Rob is interviewing, and unfortunately, I know the way that he would interview. It's definitely the Nationwide way. Obviously, he's come from a Nationwide background. He's been there. He would have interviewed so many people when he was at Nationwide, and it wouldn't surprise me if he brought in the same sort of structure and the way that he would interview a person. Like, he's got to hit some kind of criteria. It doesn't have to be in football terms, as long as he's proven a sort of way of doing a particular task or something like that. And that's sort of the way that I'm sort of seeing this at the moment. The way that he recruited Sandro Di Michele. Okay, he didn't really have a footballing background. He had like a betting background or whatever it was. But for some reason or other, he must have interviewed incredibly well and hit every single mark on the head and got the role. And it seems as if,
I think for me, the employment of Di Michele wasn't an issue. The initial employment of him wasn't an issue. I think most of us were sat here going, oh, it's a different approach. The issue was when it wasn't working, they didn't do fuck all about it. Yeah. That was the issue. They needed to do something before January, you know, because it clearly hadn't worked. That approach hadn't worked. And then it all went radio silence. We never heard from, I don't think, we actually hear from Di Michele after Christmas.
There was no one in the club to fall back on the football side, was there? So
that was during the social media blackout, wasn't it?
There was a huge gap, and then it was Clem and Rob, but nothing in between to sort of when it went wrong with Sandro, and it was like a footballing void. Once Sandro fucked up, there was nothing else above him to fill that space. And all right, it looks like Flynn's going to be taking over that side, but that area of expertise still hasn't been brought into the club. We still haven't brought in either a director of football, technical director, or a CEO that's got a footballing background. All the most successful and well-run clubs have got that, but we still haven't replaced it. So as well as I want Michael Flynn to do now, if things go wrong again on the footballing side, who's going to step in to say, look, you need to do this, you need to do that, or we need to do this, we need to do that? I don't trust Rob Angus to do it, not on the footballing side, and I don't trust Clem. I'm sorry, I don't. Because, you've got to question some of the decisions he's made in the last season.
But again, I think Clem has made it very, very clear that he doesn't get involved with any of the footballing stuff anyway. So,
that's what he's got a CEO for.
Exactly. No, exactly. And this is why I'm saying. This is why I'm saying Angus should take a step back. I think he should still be involved, but more as like a CFO
Commercial
rather than a
side.
CEO. Yeah, because that's where he's come from. He's come from a financial background. Okay, again, he's become CEO, and I get it, like the first season, because obviously he knows Clem, etc., which is all great and all that kind of stuff. And obviously they did a lot in terms of the obvious takeover and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But I think after that first season, I think once he was integrated, once he got into the football club and got all the financial side of things sorted, I think that's when the turning point should have been. Thought, right, okay, Rob, thank you very much for getting me to this point now. I want to keep you in the football club. I want you to keep like all the operations going around, but I want you to be more of like a financial sort of character in the actual football club. And I think that would have been perfect if we'd gotten a CEO that actually knows about football, and all the other different sort of logistics and that kind of stuff. I think we would have been much better off. And I think that's what we need right now. All fair play to Rob. I think he has done some really good things, especially in terms of like the interaction and all that kind of stuff. Nothing can be taken away from him on that front. But in terms of the football inside, and especially this season and the particular appointments that have been made, I think we are very much in the right to question that, and especially going forward.
Lads, I'm going to interject here quickly and make a suggestion, because I'm noticing that it's 20 to 12 already. Do we finish the review in terms of we were just going to talk about the first team players, and do we move the awards to another show so that it's got proper time to do what we want it to achieve? Should we
give a chance for Nick to find a suit to dress up in as well?
Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do here then, guys, is we're going to go through the first team squad. And all I want to know, there's different ways of rating people. Numbers is generally 1 to 10, how have they played? But all I want to know from you is basically, have they met your expectation of them? Have they exceeded your expectation of what you thought they would offer the team? Or have they been lower than expectations? Okay.
I tell you what, Fifey, it's a good job you did the hand gestures to show how that worked, because otherwise I wouldn't have understood it.
Good. Well, we know that it wouldn't have been the first thing you've misunderstood today.
Fair enough. Touche.
Thank you, mate. So we'll start with the goalkeeper then. Rich Solbrin, where does he rate on that scale for you?
What, out of 10?
No. This is why I explained it. This is why I explained it.
Sorry, mate. I was looking at other comments. Sorry.
Let him go last, Fifey. Then he'll understand.
Right.
Okay. Sorry.
Right.
I was not paying attention.
Let's try this again.
Sorry.
Woody, where on that scale does Solbrin
Met expectations.
Met expectations, yeah. Okay, was it?
I'd say he's exceeded expectations. I think without Solbrin, he could have been. Well, it could have been a lot worse in games where he's pulled off wonders. I think the kid after the start that he had, he could have quite easily crumbled. I think he's more than exceeded expectations. And good luck,
Ned.
It was Kovar's job as well. Just let's not forget that.
Yeah, now look at him. He could be a Champions League fucking goalkeeper soon.
Well, it's no good years down the line, is it? We needed him that season. Anyway, anything less than exceed is very harsh. He definitely exceeded.
Nick?
Met. Because you expect he's a good shot stopper. He was weak in challenging people, which we talked about earlier. Yep. You expect him to make mistakes because he's a young kid coming from a championship club. So that's why I say he's met. He's nowhere near as good as Bender was. So that's sort of how I'm basing it on. So definitely met.
Okay, Craig?
Yeah, met exactly what Nick just said.
Okay. Do you understand the
performance
ratio?
Sorry, boys.
Understand the assignment now, Rich.
I wasn't listening. Sorry. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So, Bryn, did he meet expectations, exceed expectations, or lower than expectations?
Yeah, I would say he definitely met expectations. I think he definitely kept us in a lot of games, and he did his job at the end of the day. A lot of the, especially the first game of the season, obviously he was known to make a couple of saves. Should we have judged him at that point? No, but I definitely think he met expectations for sure.
Okay, so interestingly, perhaps for some, going into when we were setting this up, I had him down as lower than expectations, but I thought it would be even difficult for me to try and swing player of the season getting lower than expectations. So I've settled with met expectations for Bryn. Cosy there saying Bryn doesn't control his box. You thickos met expectations, not exceeded.
Just an awful comment.
Just going back to sorry. I just wanted to go back to AC's comment about the interaction just very quickly.
Yep.
It's more of Rob Angus, because Rob Angus has been quite present, especially at like the games, like for example the women's games, for example, what we were talking about. He's always been around. He's always been very approachable and that kind of. So that's the sort of interaction I'm talking about. Obviously, in terms of like,
it's probably on about the advisory board and things like that. Like with questions from Stav Austin and things like that.
I think that's all up for question, and obviously, I think that's something that probably would have been asked at the evening on Wednesday, which has obviously been cancelled. But I just think in terms of Rob Angus himself, he has been very approachable. So
next player on the list then, Craig, Romeo Hutton.
This is so difficult. This is for me.
Okay, let me help you.
I'll go. I was going to say I'll go.
Romeo Hutton, the right back.
I'd say. I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but I say met expectations because he's a defensive liability. I'm sorry, 15 assists, great, but it hasn't got. I'm sorry. As 15 assists does look good, and it is a great start and everything. But like you said, as a right back, he's a defensive liability, and just met expectations for me.
Okay, Nick.
Yeah, I've got met expectations. He's done what you'd expect as a full back stroke wing back. Not brilliant defensively, good going forward. So that's the type you'd expect from a League Two player.
Okay, Wazza?
Yeah, met expectations on Hutton. Yeah, I can't. Defensively, I have my gripes with him, but you can't moan about for what he's done going forward from a fullback, which is seen as a modern day fullback now. You know what I mean? So getting forward and he created things for us which you can't moan at. So I think he's met expectations on that front.
Okay, Woody?
Probably met as well. I again agree with what Lad said defensively, that a fullback isn't just about defence. He would be lower expectations if it wasn't his for his assist record. It would be lower, to be totally honest. I think he's probably saved himself because he's a modern day fullback.
Okay, Ned?
I don't know if I can do this anymore. I think I'm gonna have to give up this little section, because I think if anyone thinks that not being the highest achieving assist taker in what defender in, is it all 4 leagues or is it just
all 4 leagues? All 4 leagues
is not exceeding. I understand what they're saying about defensive, but you cannot say that the guy who's got the most assists in all 4 leagues hasn't exceeded expectations for a
That's a very, very
That's a fair
point.
comment, Ned. If he wasn't part of the defence, has conceded 61 goals this season.
Yeah.
Well,
and a lot of them have come from the wing.
He's done his part.
Yeah,
Ned, it's not his fault that everyone else is shit. But
Ned, you took the words out my mouth there.
I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Yeah,
you can, Ned.
Fifey, I completely agree with Ned. I personally, where we got him from, we obviously got him from Barrow, didn't we? And yeah. I just don't think
he finished above us.
Yeah. Yeah, but where did they finish last year? Where did they finish last
season? That's irrelevant.
Season?
That's irrelevant. They got rid of him and then they finished higher.
He did all right for him last season. He did all right for him last season.
15 assists. 15 assists. That's ridiculous.
He's a defender, lads. He lost his man so many times.
I know he did.
So,
I'm not.
So he can't be any more than exceeded expectations when you're bringing him in as a defender. I totally get your point that he's been brilliant going forward. He's got the most assists. I totally get that, but he can't be any better than. You know what I mean?
To be fair, if we had a manager with a brain, would have realised that we shouldn't have been playing Romeo Hutton at right back anyway. He should have been playing at right mid.
Yeah, but he's been a right back his whole life.
Yeah,
I know he has, but
we signed him as a right back.
I would never have played him at right. Yeah, but if it wasn't working though, but he's still getting 15 assists every game.
Every game.
Yeah, every game.
Sorry, guys, it's late. Fucking hell, it's late. He's getting 15 assists this season. There's no fucking brain I'd be playing him in right mid.
But yeah,
I don't care if he's a right. I don't care if he's a right back or he's. Oh yeah.
If we're taking if we're taking the literal explanation of exceeding my expectations, he's come in and did a better job than I thought he was going to do. So he exceeded my expectations.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Long-term, like you can't share it.
No, not at all. Long-term injured players like Iandolo and Baudry are going to leave out of the conversation because it seems unfair. So, Nick Clayton.
Oh, that's quite a difficult one because he started off looking absolute class. Then he had a dip. And then he got back to some decent form after his injury. I initially put him as met, but I'm going to actually change that to exceeded because he's a young lad coming out of Liverpool Academy. Probably didn't expect him to play maybe as many games as he did. And I would say he probably exceeded my expectations.
Yep, that's fair. Was it?
Exceeded. Easy. Oh, cause he's going to hate it now I've said it. He's going to call me out again. Oh, no.
No, not just you, Wazza. Don't worry.
Yeah, he knows fuck all, Wazza.
I feel harsh because he's a young lad, but I can't get past the fact that he's a part of a defence that's leaked so many goals. So it's a Met for me, but that's a really harsh Met.
Okay.
I think if he had kept McDonald alongside him, I have no doubt that he would have been better. But unfortunately,
with an experience alongside him, he's so much better.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, just not consistent throughout the whole season, injuries aside. So just Met.
Ned?
Well, coming out of Premier League 2, being the captain of their team, I fully expected him to be fucking shit hot. So, he's done really well, but he's only met my expectations. I expected him to be good, so he's met my expectations.
Yeah. Rich?
He's. I'd say he's. Yeah, I'd say he's met. Yeah,
Met?
Just because I think he's done some really good things, but also he has been, quite, but I'd say he's just about met them.
Craig?
Yeah, it's a strange one for me because I'm opposite to Ned. I wasn't expecting much from him. Premier League 2 doesn't mean fuck all to me, to be honest, and that doesn't transpire to League 2. So I'd say he's I'd say he's close between meeting my expectations and exceeding them. I'd say the only reason why I wouldn't put him as exceeding my expectations is because he's lightweight physically, I think, and for a centre back, even a ball playing centre back who's technically as good as him, it's not good enough for League Two. So that's why he's just met my expectations.
Okay. Next up, Wazza Tomlinson.
Oh, lower than expectations. You just don't see enough of him. He comes in, plays 2 games, gets injured, and I'm glad the club have come out this week that they're not taking up the option to buy him. Obviously, it's just you don't see enough of him. So lower than expectations. There's probably a player in there, but we just haven't seen enough of it.
I think we could all agree on that. To be honest with you, yeah, I think that one's an easy one. To be fair, 5-year.
Is anyone going different to lower than expectations?
Well, as Rich has just spoken for all of us, I guess we have. So
you wanted to move it along, Craig. You wanted to move it along, Craig.
I do agree with everything He's just said. So yeah.
Craig, you wanted to move things along, mate.
Let's not get sulking, lads. All right, let's not sulk now.
Woody,
5-12, mate.
Nice one, was it?
Woody, Brewitt.
Oh, fuck's sake! Yeah, I'm gonna get kickback for this, but I'm actually gonna say exceeds. And the only reason being, I'm not saying he's a great defender, but when we signed him and I saw he'd only had X amount of professional games, I thought, fuck me, what have we signed? And to be fair to the guy, he's still been a bit leaky, but he's arguably what we needed at that point in time. So I'm only saying exceeds for that reason, just because my expectations were really low.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Ned?
I agree entirely. Exceed for me for the exact same reasons.
Rich?
He met my expectations. He's shit. Don't sign him.
Craig?
Yeah, he's exceeded my expectations because I thought he was absolutely dog shit, but he's still not good enough for us. And I'll be very happy to have him released or not have a contract extended. That's how low my bar was, because we were obviously scraping the barrel for him, weren't we?
I wanted to say it like that, Craig, but
he wasn't free. There was a reason why he was free and available at the time that we needed him, and he turned out to be slightly better than what I thought. So that's why he exceeds my expectations. But those expectations weren't high in the first place.
The fact that he wasn't even playing for an MLS team and he was just playing for a fucking baseball park soccer team in the second division of the American League just tells you fucking everything about him. It's just no. He got released by more.
You've had your turn, Rich.
You just told us we all want to move along in the fucking chat.
I didn't.
That was me.
That was Craig.
No, to be fair, Rich did put. Please, we are going to go on all night.
Yeah, of course, though. No, it wasn't me.
Nick?
I've put met expectations because looking at him, I thought he would be a typical League Two shithouse, clear the ball, get it up the field, and not have much football about him. So he met what I thought he would be like.
Oh, really? Because if that's what my aims were for him, then it's definitely lower than expectations. Was there?
I agree with Woody. I think I honestly, you've got to give the lad a pre-season and give him. He's come in 3/4 for free of season where we're leaking goals anyway, and the lad's come in, and I don't think he's done a bad job. From what we were expecting when he's walked through the door, could you ask any more? He's come in and he was starting games, and he done all right. Yeah, I can't have it that it's any less. I think he deserves a chance. So
the likes of Devine and Harry's are escaping critique due to their injury records.
Devine?
Exactly. So Ned, FBT.
Exceed. He's been fantastic, and that's all you need to say.
Okay, Rich.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think he exceeded. I wasn't expecting an awful lot when we got him from Burton on loan, but I think he was the best out of a bad bunch of players. So yeah, definitely exceed for me.
Craig?
Yeah, exceed. Same as what Rich said. We thought, he's shit. Who's this person we came in? And at that time when he came in, he was quite solid. And if he's played at left back, he would have easily been our player of the season. But he's put into centre back, and that's just not his position.
I'm so glad that Woody's last on this one, because I think his vote might match mine, and it's a little bit dissimilar to everyone else. But Nick?
I've put Met, because I expect him to be a solid defender, do a job, not let us down, consistent performances, and that's what he gave.
Okay. Was it?
Yeah, I was in between Met and Exceed, and I did just stray towards Exceed because it's with my own thing. I just really like the lad. I think he's a leader. I think he's decent. I think he's, yeah. I know what Woody's going to say next. And I'll let him say it. But I think he's bang on. Blake Tracy, Exceed for me all day.
Woody?
Exceeds.
Wow! No, I didn't say that.
No, it is a Met for me. I do think he's done well because he's had to transfer positions, etc. But I do, as I've said all along, I don't think he's as strong as we think he is. I think, as I think Rich said earlier, he's the strongest of quite a weak bunch. But yeah, so I wouldn't go low. I wouldn't go low. That would be completely unjust. But for me, just meats. A very strong meats.
Okay. Rich, you get to finish off the defensive line. Lavinia.
That's a tricky one. I would say not his own fault, but I would say he's lowered my expectations.
Okay.
Just on the basis, I think, and again, like I say, this isn't his fault, because I think he probably could have played a lot more games, and I think he would have had a lot more impact. And I think he has shown that over the season, but he hasn't had a consistent run. He's been a bit like Tomlinson. He's been stop, start. And again, some part of it was to do with injury, but then part of it was just that he was left out of the squad. And I don't think that was really his fault when he was left out of the squad. So it was a little bit of a shame. And that's the only reason why I'm going to say he's lowered my expectation.
It's fine. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's sort of similar to Rich, but I'd go for Met because I wasn't expecting much from him because I don't even think he played on loan anywhere while he was at Tottenham.
True.
And he's 22, 23 this year, but we've seen glimpses of him this season. So I honestly didn't know what to expect from him. So I got to go with Met to be fair, just on that basis. Yeah.
Nick?
Yeah, I'll echo what Craig said. We didn't really know much about him coming from a decent setup. You'd expect him to do well, and when he's played, he's been okay.
Was that?
Yeah, bang on the same as the lads. I agree. Met expectations.
Woody?
Yeah, same. I really, really like the guy. I'm looking forward to seeing him next season. But yeah, it's just we just didn't see enough of him. So, but when he was on, he did what I thought he was going to do.
Okay, Ned.
He met. I was possibly a little, underperformed. I was expecting him to be half decent.
Yeah.
But he's looked okay. He's looked okay, but he's playing left back, and let's be honest, he's a right back. So
Right back, yeah.
When Hutton goes, when the window opens and he plays at right back, he's going to be fucking awesome next season.
Great point. Very good point.
Yeah, absolutely, Ned.
We move into the midfield, Craig. McEachran.
I'd say exceed because he'd come in, he hadn't played all season, and he came in and he seemed incredibly fit for someone, a match fit for someone who hasn't played all season, and obviously his ability and his class was there to show. And I hope that even though Morris is gone, that we trigger the extension in his contract. But yeah, absolutely exceeded.
Nick?
Yeah, I've put down Met only because of where he's come from and what he's done in the past.
Yeah.
And I appreciate he was out probably for 18 months, but he was under 17 World Cup winner with England. So I expected him to be a decent footballer and do well. So from that point of view, he's met probably high Met, low exceed, but I'll just stick with Met. That's what I put down.
That's fine, was it?
Yeah, I'm sort of on the fence with like Nick was, but I've slightly gone the other way and got exceeded because I do just think, even though our midfield hasn't been that great, I thought when he's come in, he's looked a cut above. He's got an eye for a pass. He's got, you know what I mean? I think, and I really hope, like Craig said, I hope they trigger the contract, because if the likes of Williams and that is going to go, he could be a massive player in our midfield, creative-wise, next season. And I think we need someone like that.
Woody?
Exceeds for me. I kind of thought I'd like him anyway, but the reason it exceeds is just because of his defensive work. He's a lot stronger than he looks. He's a lot more physical in the challenge. He wins a lot more of those hook tackles as well. So
you love a hook tackle.
I love a hook tackle. You know, he'll often keep that ball once he's won it. So, although I'm not massively against what Christian said, that Zach McEachin's not too bad either. But yeah, no, exceeds for me.
Okay, Ned.
Exceed, despite him not being able to take a shot. I would like him to take a shot every now and again, but yeah, exceed. You know, to slot into our first team 11 from not playing for such a long time, definitely exceeded my expectations.
Okay, Rich.
Yeah, he definitely exceeded. You could tell first game against Sutton, he had a bit about him, and he was bossing that pitch, and he did that for pretty much most of the games leading on to the end of the season. Yeah, thought he was exceptional.
Excellent. So Nick, we come to you next, and the man who a lot of people thought the season might be built around, Johnny Williams.
I'm going to say lower.
Okay.
Because I expected him to be more consistent than he was. So I expect him to be better throughout the whole season. He had a good first half of the season. Then when he come back for the World Cup, he was absolutely dire. And it was only the last few games of the season that he looked anything like. So I expected a lot better of him. So that's why I'm putting lower.
That's fine. Was it?
I can't do it, but I've got to say my expectations. But Nick puts up a very valid point. I love Johnny Williams. I think we're going to massively miss him next season.
Yeah, we will.
I just think the way that he holds the ball, carries the ball, keeps, you know what I mean, wins clever fouls. I just think we miss that. But Nick puts up a compelling argument. I don't think we've seen the best of him the second half of the season, but I don't think we've seen any best from any of our team the second half of the season. So I would just err to the side of met expectations.
Okay, Woody?
Yeah, Matt, mainly on the thing, and this, you know, Nick makes a valid argument, but I also think some of the criticism he's actually faced this season has been quite harsh. So I'm going to go with Matt.
Okay, Ned?
I'm going to say Met as well. You know, from last season to this season, I expected him to be pretty decent, but yeah, you know, as Nick said, you know, when he came back from the World Cup, he didn't look half the player he was before. But you know, if you listen to any commentary, from, you know, away commentary, they always say that Williams is the best player on the pitch, even if we think that he's had an average game. So,
yeah,
you know, he's obviously got something about him. So I'm just going to say met expectations.
Okay, Rich?
Yeah, I would say he met. I think his goal, the amount of goals that he scored this season as well, was probably, he probably shouldn't have even got to that amount. And the fact that he was scoring, and some quite important goals as well. Obviously that Probably my favourite one was probably the one against Bradford a couple of weeks ago. It's just the way that was all set up and everything. His goal contribution was very, very good this season. Probably could have expected a little bit more from him. I think if I was being really harsh, I would say that he lowered it. But I think if it wasn't for the goals, he would have lowered my expectations. But just the fact that he did score the amount of goals that he did, you cannot not give him a met for that.
Okay, Craig.
Yeah, I'm with Nick. He just went missing in too many games after the World Cup, and our most creative outlet wasn't creative enough this season at the end of the day. So yeah, definitely lower.
Okay. Wazza, you're next up, and you've got the man that we mentioned earlier in the episode, Ronan Darcy.
There's going to be no surprise here. Lower than my expectations, even though they were pretty low to start with, because from what we heard at the friendlies, he wasn't great, but he just, the kid tries hard and he works, but there's not enough quality. He's not good enough at this level, in my opinion. And whether he's just at the wrong club, he's at the wrong club at the wrong time. But yeah, lower than my expectations. He just doesn't do enough for me.
Okay, Woody?
Met, because I expected him to be shit, and he was shit.
He beat me to it.
So he met for me.
Beat me to it.
That's fine. Ned?
Well, I expected him to be all right after Liam's glowing, report when he first signed for us. So he's definitely beneath for me. I reckon he's going to have a good season next season. I honestly believe he's going to, come out of his shell. I really do. But we'll see. We'll see.
Sold in the summer.
Rich?
Yeah, same with Woody. I mean, I wasn't at the games that he was in pre-season, but from what he said, he was. I mean, he had maybe 1-2 good games, maybe, and that was about it. You could see what he was about. He wanted to try and get stuck in, but he had no follow through really.
Craig?
He's a shit Steve Robinson. He is. He's got all the effort, but none of the ability. So yeah, definitely lower.
And Nick?
Yeah, lower. I expected him to be a decent midfielder that'd create chances for us, score the odd goal, but he didn't deliver. So lower.
Woody, you conclude the midfielders with Seydou Khan.
What I
wouldn't want this one.
I'm sorry, too many sending offs, less expectations.
Yeah, I was jumping.
I think there's a player in there, but I wasn't expecting him to be suspended for half the fucking season. Just on that basis.
I thought he was going to be player of the season when he first come, so he's definitely beneath my expectations.
Okay, Rich?
Yeah, I'm with Woody. To get 2 red cards. Was it 2 red cards, or did he get more? Did he get 3 red cards?
And
he was
suspended.
Cards, he got 3, didn't he? Yeah, and he was suspended for 5 games.
Yeah.
After getting that 3rd sending off, his discipline was just poor. And he did add little bits to our attack, but not enough. So, yeah, I would say lower. Yeah.
Okay, Craig?
Yeah, lower. We paid a fee for him. He had glowing reports from, was it Notts County we got him from? Chesterfield, sorry. And, Mark made a good point earlier about that we need to take into account how poor defensively we've been in midfield. And he's part of that, Khan. When he was playing at the base, when Louis Reed was out of favour, we looked, teams cut through us so easily. And Khan was part of that. As good as he was going forward and everything else, no, I'm sorry. He was definitely lower in my opinion.
Nick?
I've said Met. Looking at him, I thought he would be a decent, hard-working box-to-box player. He again, based on what I expected him to be like, not what he actually, the sendings off. I mean, to me, you've got to ignore that because that's not what I expected him to be at the start of the season. So for me, he did basically what I'd expected him, that type of player, to do. Showed up good at times, poor at others.
And was it?
Yeah, I put Met just because he's come from National League. I think Craig makes a great point on being in the holding role, but that doesn't suit him at all. You know what I mean? He is a box to box. Carries the ball quite well. I thought in games he's got us out of positions, and I think he maybe will get better next season. I hope.
Yeah.
And I just
that midfield of Khan and Darcy is looking strong next year.
As long as they, but I think he's just Met. I can understand people with lower because of the sendings off and the discipline and stuff like that. But just on the side, just because he's come from the conference, I think he's just met what I expected.
Ned, you get to start off the last couple of players as we move to the forwards, and we start with the man himself, Mr. Charlie Austin.
Oh, it's a difficult one, isn't it?
No, not really.
To be honest, how many goals did I expect him to score? 9 goals he scored, isn't it? Oh God. It's so difficult. I think Met is probably the best I can do. It's a
Just quickly, Craig's pointed out to me. Can you also tell me Kane? Because I forgot Kane.
Oh no, I was just about to type. Forget about it. But never mind.
I just wrote back saying, "Nah, said the less said the better."
Mikey, what was your expectations on Kane?
He fell well below expectations.
That's all you got to say.
Did anyone think he met expectations?
No.
Kane?
Yeah.
No. Considering he'd played for Newport, he'd had League 2 experience, and he was actually really good for them. No, he no, definitely.
But he had
under Michael Flynn, though.
But remember, he had a good second half against Crawley. So a load of our fans think he's fucking brilliant now.
He was crap against Crawley, just scored a decent goal.
Yeah, but no, he's good now. He's good now. There's a player in him.
There is a player in there.
We could see a better player. We could see a better player next year with him. With Flynn, you know what I mean? Flynn got what out of him in League 2 with Newport. I think we could see. I'm a lot more confident on Kane than I would be on Darcy. 100.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's
easy.
I don't know.
I
think I might be Darcy over Kane.
No.
I think they're the same level of mediocrity. Personally, there we go.
Rich, let's carry on with Charlie Austin.
Yeah, he met my expectations. There's no question. He scored goals. He came in to score goals. He scored goals.
Goals.
How many goals? He scored 9 goals in 20 games, didn't he? So that's pretty much a goal every 2 games. Can't ask much more from a striker.
4 of those were against Rochdale.
Exactly. Who else has scored 4 goals? Who else has scored 4 goals in a game this season?
Who else has scored 4 goals in a game and not won the game?
Yeah, well, he's not a defender, is he? That's not his fault, is it?
Well, we had the same debate about Hutton earlier.
Yeah, well, that's his job. That was his job. That was his job.
Sound like Roy Keane.
His
job. His fucking job.
Craig, Charlie.
Well, it was funny because when we signed him, most of the fans were saying, yeah, he'll score 15, 20 goals easy. So by their expectations, he probably hasn't met it, but I wasn't expecting him to score 15, 20 goals. Not in this team.
He could have done with all the
but he didn't though.
They've got. Yeah, but that wasn't it. Yeah, but that's not his fault though. He wants to.
Well, no, his job is to score goals, Rich.
How many goals did he score? How many goals did he score?
He scored 9.
9 goals.
Wait, how many goals did he score?
Not 15 then, or 20. No? Okay, and that's fine then. So for me,
the clock struck 12 and it's turned into chaos.
So for me, I mean, I thought he might score 10 at the most, but so he's met my expectations, is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, Rich.
Okay.
But he didn't get 10 goals though, Craig. So he hasn't met yours.
I know. So he has met my expectations.
Oh right.
Nick.
Yes, it's met. He come in. He did what you'd expect him to do: score a few goals, lead the team, give that experience to some of the younger lads in the team. You could see that on the pitch. He was talking. He was, doing what he needed to do. Probably apart from when Morris told him to do something that he wasn't capable of doing, which he's obviously had his comments on that. So, he did what I'd expect him to do.
Was it?
Yeah, met expectations. I think I wasn't one of those that thought he was going to fire us to the playoffs or the thing because the service is shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think he's come in. He scored some strikers' finishes that you'd expect from Charlie Austin. A nice goodbye from him, in my opinion. And he's done what he did.
Just to clarify, you say the service is shit, but we also had a debate about the leading assist maker in all divisions from fullbacks. The service can't be that shit.
No, but we just need it from other places on the pitch as well, because I think teams figured us out. Pass it to Hutton, he'll have about 20 crosses in a game and he'll get a couple right.
He'd get one right a game.
Yeah. So we just needed it from more areas, but you can't fault him. He's a fox in the box. He scored goals for what we wanted him to do, but yeah.
Hopefully we can keep him on for next season.
Would he?
Less.
Because he didn't get 15, 20 goals.
He didn't get 15, 20. I was one of those that said he'll get easily a goal every 2 games, and he didn't reach it. So he got 9 and 20. No, it's not. 20 divided by 2 is 10, Rich. No.
But he could have had 2 penalties.
I'm more surprised that Woody can do maths there.
Got an level in it. I haven't got butlers to do mine for me.
I'm interjecting before this gets personal.
Yeah. Less on the goals front, met on everything else. Everything else he did, met it fully, but I did expect more goals.
Rich, we're back with you, and you get Jeffcott.
Do I have to even explain what? No, shit. Lowered expectations. Fucking hell.
Out of interest, is anyone going higher than lower than expectations with Jeffcott?
No. Except for you.
Me?
You fucking love Jeffcott. You want him to sign.
You've confused me with Ben.
No,
I've told you.
Told me he was going to be the best striker in League Two.
Ben went on record saying he was going to be the best striker in the league. I've been saying since fucking January we need to send him back to Plymouth. He's fucking awful.
I thought you wanted to keep him. Sorry, Ben. Then sorry, Ben. Except for Ben.
I do agree. It's definitely lower, but there's some valid arguments to why he's not been better. And Joe made a great one a couple of weeks ago and said about him scoring goals for Plymouth. He played in a front 2, and we've played him up front on his own every single time he's played. He's had no, you know what I mean? We've commented on the service side of it. He's had chances in a few games, but he's got to be lower because he's not come in and done enough for what we'd all expected.
Can't even score penalties.
We've got 3 players left, lads. Let's see if we can be done by 12:30. Okay, so Craig, and again, thank you to Claire for letting me use all of these pictures of hers throughout the evening that I've been flashing up on the screen. Penultimate picture time. You get to start us off, Craig, with Russian Hepburn Murphy.
Oh, go on, for me, exceeded because. I thought somebody as injury prone as him and has been out of the game as long as he has. I was like thinking, well, he's made of glass. He's probably not going to see out the season. But to be fair to him, he's one of the few players who seem to perform well under Morris at the turn of the season. So yeah, it exceeds for me. I mean, when I say exceeds, it doesn't mean he's been brilliant. He's probably a 7 out of 10, but yeah, definitely exceeds.
No, that's fair. Nick?
I'd put Met because I didn't really know what to expect from him, to be honest. He did what I expected him to do. Work rate was good. He's a pretty skillful player. Probably not good enough in front of goal, so I'd put Met.
Okay, what's that?
Yeah, I agree. I think Met expectations. I didn't really know much about the lad, to be honest, to even give it a valid sort of.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's done all right for us. He blows hot and cold in games. The fitter he's got, the better he's got, which is, you know what I mean? So that's massive. And with a full preseason, he could be really good next year.
Yeah,
and if he stays fit and doesn't get injured. So I'd say Met expectations, but I want to see a lot more next season from what they're talking about.
Okay, Woody?
I'm going to say exceeds, but from a different angle, just because when he got that second injury this season, his reaction to coming back to that was phenomenal. He was the only player in the closing end of the season that got better.
Yeah.
I don't really think he's good enough, but in front of goal. But it's we can't.
Does like to miss a good chance, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's contributed 8 goals in those 20 odd games where he definitely hasn't played 90 minutes every week. So exceeds just on his comeback from that second injury.
By comparison, Charlie Austin scored 9 in the same period.
There we
go. Ned?
Well, I was one of the only people who was quite hot on this guy when we first signed him. So
you were?
He's probably start off with was certainly way below expectations, but as Woody said, he's the last few games of the season he's been our best player on the pitch as far as I'm concerned. So I think he's probably met. But yeah, next season's gonna be awesome. I think with a bit more I think once he's got confidence, confidence in front of goal, confidence within his body, not getting injured, I think he's going to be awesome next year. I think it's going to be a really, really good player for us next year.
That's a good point. I think he's Ned hit the nail on the head there with his. I think he's on the pitch at the moment, hoping that he doesn't get an injury, that he doesn't pull up, that he doesn't. You know what I mean? If he has a good pre-season, I think he could be really good next year.
Okay.
He's got raw pace, like it literally, isn't he? He's lightning, and there's something you need in League Two.
No, 100%. Rich?
Lowered. All he had to do was score a penalty on the last day against Crawley, and he would have won me 400 quid.
400 quid, Rich? That's like a drop in the ocean to you. What are you moaning about that for?
No, genuinely though. No, seriously. No, he met. He was a good player. He was very, very explosive down the wings. It's what you expect from him. He chipped in with a goal or two. Two of them were incredible goals. The one against Hartlepool away and the one against Crewe, that solo goal that he scored, ran from the halfway line and he just buried it top corner. I agree with the lads. I think he'll be an incredible asset next season. So, yeah.
And finally, Craig?
I done Hepburn Murphy.
Did you? I thought Nick started Hepburn Murphy.
You've got 90 seconds. 5 feet to finish the last two.
I said he exceeded.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Penultimate player then. So if Craig started Hepburn Murphy, it means Nick, you start Wakeling.
Exceeded.
Okay.
Didn't expect him to play so many games. Where he come from with his lack of league experience. Didn't finish all the games, but played a hell of a lot. Scored some important goals. 100% effort, work rate, you can't fault. So definitely exceeded on what I thought he would do in how many games he would play.
Lovely. What's that?
Yeah, I can't disagree. As much as I think Woody was expecting me maybe to disagree. The lad's done well. He's exceeded our expectations. At the start of the season, we put it all on him, and he was how old is he? 19. You know what I mean?
21.
Yeah, I think he's done a cracking job. You can't moan at him. But yeah.
Well, apparently, some people can. Woody?
Oh, God, we got to be. He's right. He's right. Can I change mine?
Lower, because I thought he was actually going to be better than he has been this season.
Shut up, Woody.
Based on that Malcolm game. Do you know what? I should say Matt, just because I as you guys know, I genuinely believe there was going to be a hard-working player in that. Yep. And the reason I go to lower is because I did think knew Jerry Yates, and he didn't quite get to that level. But yeah, so I'll go with Matt.
Ned?
I didn't think, have high expectations for him, so he's definitely exceeded my expectations.
Okay, Rich?
He exceeded for me. Wasn't sure really what to expect. Again, came from Leicester's academy. I thought he chipped in with a lot of good goals, some important goals as well. So I think he's exceeded.
And Craig?
Yeah, definitely exceeds, because I again, like a lot of the others said, I didn't know what to expect. And if you look at his actual stats over the season, I think I mentioned this on a previous pod. I can't remember what they were off the top of my head, but I think it was something like there's only 15 times he's actually started up front in the striker's role, and the rest of the time he's either been played out of position as left back or on the wing or as a sub. And he scored quite a few goals and assists from that position alone in his first season in League Two. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him play next season if he's up front in a two. If he's up front in a two, Wakeling will go from strength to strength. If he's playing in a three and he's not the main striker, his development's going to be stunted, I'm afraid.
Okay. Final player then, before we bring this episode to a close. Wazza, you have the privilege of starting the review of one Tyrese Shade.
I have to say lower, because when we signed him and from what the Walsall fans were saying, they were saying we've got a player there that takes on players. He's exciting. He's quick. He's all of this, and I just haven't seen enough of it. I just haven't seen enough consistency in his game. He needs to work wonders. I can't see him being anything. Yeah. I can understand that argument, because if you think he was shit, then he's met your expectations, isn't he? Because he has. But for me, I thought we were going to see a player, but we haven't seen enough of it.
Okay, Woody?
Lower, yeah. I mean, I knew a little bit about him. I think me and Ned said when we signed him, we're quite looking forward to seeing him, because he was half decent at Walsall. He did well in PL2 when he was in there. So I genuinely thought we were going to get a hell of a player, and boy, was I disappointed pretty quickly.
Okay.
I think, to be honest, it's probably just beneath expectations, but I don't know. I'm going to go Met, because I know that everyone else is going to say beneath expectations. And on the basis that when we first signed him and he was playing in the first 11, he was playing at left back, wasn't he? Or right, his left or right back. And I mean, he was fucking dog shit. At that point, he was terrible. But I think, when we've used him as an impact sub, I think he's done a better job, which, better than everyone gives him credit for. So, I'm going to stick my Tyrese Shade flag up and say he's met my expectations.
Okay, Rich?
Lower. He was shit first half of the season. Then second half of the season, we could see what he was a little bit about. That he was more of an impact sub rather than a starting player. And I think when he came on I came off the bench, he actually made a little bit of an impact. He chipped in with some assists and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So it's a difficult one to put. First half lower, second half met. So yeah, something in between.
Somewhere in that region.
Yeah, somewhere in between.
Craig?
Has to be lower just for his goal celebration alone.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point actually.
If he wants to learn how to do a double flip, he should watch Sam Kerr after her celebration over the weekend in the Women's Cup final. That's how you fucking do it. But yeah, no, definitely lower.
Oh dear me! And final word to Nick.
Lower, because reports coming out from his season at Warsaw were good reports. Expected a decent player to come through. If you look at him, he looks like he's got everything needed for a real good footballer, but he didn't deliver that. But I'd agree with what, like Ned said, coming off the bench in certain games, he's looked good and improved the team and made a difference. But I expected a lot more from him, so that's why I say lower.
Okay. I'd describe Tyrese Shade as a giraffe.
No.
Very long
Should we just end the episode there? Just leave it there.
Can I just say as well, he's got one of the strongest shots I've seen, bar possibly Nicky Summerby. When he's connected, when he's properly connected, I haven't honestly the pace that he can hit the ball is incredible.
I never knocked a ref out there, was he? Never knocked a ref out.
Absolute rocket that just sort of went through the goalkeeper. The first goal he scored, I'm sure it was.
Ned, I swear, at the sponsors' dinner, you were just admiring his legs. You were just admiring his feet.
Yeah, it's everything. Everything.
Yeah,
well,
everything. You were just looking, what a specimen of a bloke.
From everywhere I could dribble from.
Well, that concludes tonight's season review. Thank you very much to Chiarna for joining us at the start of the episode. Thank you very much to everyone who's contributed towards the season review. We will move the end of season alternative awards to another episode. I'm trying to think what's coming up. Maybe a week on Friday we'll do that because this Friday we've got more review as we've got different people from all the different STFC content creators coming on. For a special episode of Fools Rush In. Thank you to everyone who stuck with us for the whole night, for everyone who got involved in the chat, and for anyone listening back after or watching back after the event. We've been Fools Rush In, and gents, Rich is ready for bed. Gents, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Good night.
Night.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling